Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob. Only. The fan of the States.
Good morning.
Feel me? For real. Do you feel him, sir?
Yeah, I do.
Shut the hell up.
Hello, boys.
Yeah!
Turns out I'm not. My bad. Had a thing. My fault, everybody. That's my bad. Sorry about yesterday. Had a thing. I had a thing. The thing was unavoidable. I had to take a day. It was last minute. I know. I'm very sorry. My apologies, but we're here today. We're back. So all's forgiven. We move on and never talk about it again. Right? Right. Good. Glad to hear it. Welcome in the Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Great to have you, people.
So you just decided, I ain't working a full week. I'll show you.
No, I mean, no.
Okay.
No,
right.
Definitely not. Though I do have to say, I'm kind of fully on board with the 4-day work week proposals that have been made.
You want to do that? You need to learn French.
I don't think so. I think this whole thing about, France do it, bad. Like, I don't think so. You're telling me you don't want a 3-day weekend consistently? I mean, we wouldn't get it because, like, I feel like half the people would have 4 days and Monday off. Half the people would have 4 days and Friday off. Our job is to show up and make their lives easier. But maybe not.
As someone who's worked 6 days a week for about 30 years, 2-day weekend would be nice, but I
okay. So the point. Okay, so increasing a weekend by a day, I think it's a great idea, especially considering we all live in a world where when Saturdays roll around, when Sundays roll around, we got to do all our normal adult stuff.
So
we got to do our
what
life.
If your 3-day weekend was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Long as it's 3 days. Long as it's I mean, no, not during football season. I need my Saturdays and my Sundays. I'm just saying, if I'm going to watch football on Saturday and Sunday, I should have Monday off to recover.
Someone's got to work those days.
Why?
Because someone does.
No, but why?
Somewhere.
No, but why though?
So nothing should be open for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Whoa. Time out. Who says nothing's got to be open? All I'm saying is 3-day weekends sound awesome. That's all. And I think there's a bona fide, justified way to make that happen. As long as you
get the 3-day, the lessers, they have to work it. But that's
no, they get 3-day weekends too. But who's like, not everybody's 3-day weekend has to be the same 3 days. And they go, 3-day weekend. Oh, Rob wants to shut down society for Mondays. No, he doesn't.
Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is your 3-day weekend.
You asked my 3-day weekend.
Right.
I don't know. I want my 3-day weekend to be Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
In that scenario, that's everyone wants that. Not everyone's going to get it.
No. How many people do you know that don't care about football? Because I know a lot. They probably don't care. I know a lot of people.
I don't know anyone who doesn't care about football.
Well, I guess I know more people.
Well, duh.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, in lifetime, probably not, but presently, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, consider Rob officially on the record pro team 3-day weekend. Let's go to 4-3. I think 4-3 is fair. I think it's fair, and I'd be willing to give you like an extra 2 hours on the 4. I'd be willing to take my third day of the 3-day weekend and split it up into 2 hours extra work on the 4 days to have a 3-day.
Well, you'll have to work 10-hour days if you're gonna get 3 days off.
Hashtag go for it. I'm in. Let's do it. All right, we got a lot we got to get to today.
Yes, people. Back to reality.
Yes, exactly right. We don't dwell on fantasy booking life over here. All right, it's straight to the point, no questions asked.
If we did, we'd be somewhere tropical.
Hey, shout out to the Little League World Series squad out of Irmo, South Carolina, by the way. Holy crap, what an electric factory of a game that was last night. Unbelievable. 7-6 walk-off, second walk-off of the Little League World Series since like 2005. I think they've had 2 this year, and the last one before that was like a decade ago. Pretty spectacular stuff. They are down, I believe it was like 7-3 going into the final inning, and then just hit, walk, hit, come all the way back. So shout out to Irmo, South Carolina getting on the map. And also, I don't like the font on the uni, but the uni's pretty solid.
But they won the South, though, so good for them.
They get the dub over South Dakota 7-6 in the walk-off last night. I'll keep it a buck. like all of the early rounds, I don't really care about, right? When they're playing like random teams, I don't really care. When you get into the quarter semis and the finals of the Little League World Series, sign your boy up. Sign me up. It's gas, man. It's spectacular. I watched a chunk of the Greenville Triumphs quarterfinal match in the Jägermeister Cup last night. The boys on the road at Indy in a game that was supposed to be held here, but unfortunately, due to facility scheduling, that game had to go on the road. The boys had to go not just on the road, but all the way up to Indianapolis, Indiana, to play the quarterfinal matchup in the Jägermeister Cup. That was the bad news. The good news was a draw was good enough to move on, and they got it. 1-1 draw on the road at Indy, so the boys are on to the semis of the Jägermeister Cup. Last USL League One team standing in the Cup. Jacked up about that. We'll talk some soccer later on in the show as the Triumph are back home for a regular season USL League One game coming up on Saturday. Working on having tomorrow on the show either head coach Rick Wright, Coach Wright, Mr. Wright, if you will, or one of the players. I'll let you know when we get that booked. Hopefully going to have that done by the end of the afternoon today. If the fellas, and I will say that is obviously if the fellas get back from Indy in time. Quick turnaround, man. You play a game on a Wednesday night, you got to turn around and run another 90 on Saturday back at the crib. So we'll see if we can get fit in for that. We got a lot of college football we got to get to today. I have a sincere question for all of you. And my question is this, and I'm very curious as to the answer. Do you care about the drama and storylines from other teams? And I'll even be willing to say in your favorite sport, right? Like, do you care about the drama and storylines of other teams? And I ask this because while they ain't my squad, and while I don't really have any connection to them other than a handful of friends that are on board with it, I am so damn intrigued by the Auburn Tigers this year, right? Like, they are to me, and I've been saying this for a few weeks now, they are to me the most interesting team in 2025. I think it is either the Auburn Tigers or Florida State, depending on the bounce back, if there is one. I am fascinated by the Auburn Tigers. I am fascinated by their head coach, Hugh Freeze. I am fascinated by how a guy who has been able to act the way he has acted for a long time has been able to, by whatever he did, win people over. Like, oh yeah, no, like, what a great guy, right? Like, what a great dude. I don't get it. It feels very griftery to me. And I think the Auburn fans are kind of circling around like, maybe we got a little bit hoodwinked here. I am interested in Jackson Arnold. I'm interested in Jackson Arnold and who he is as a quarterback this year. At SEC Media Days, you had a bunch of people who were saying, oh, would you look at this? Jackson Arnold transferring over from Oklahoma. Auburn got their guy. But there were some folks at SEC Media Days that cover Oklahoma that I spoke with that were like, he's not that good. Like, he didn't get run from Oklahoma because Brent Venables and the boys just found a dude that they're in love with. He partially got run because he's just not that guy. He's just not that good. And they got sold a false bill of goods on this kid, and they were ready to move on, and they made it known to him, yada, yada, yada. And now there are stories coming out of Auburn. There are talking heads in Auburn that are saying Hugh Freeze doesn't even want to start Jackson Arnold anymore. Hugh Freeze wants to start their backup quarterback as QB1 on opening day. And I find that very, very fascinating there is a story going around that Deuce Knight, who is the backup for Auburn and believed to be backup number one. There's a couple other cats on the roster that may jump on board. But there's a story going around that Hugh Freeze wants to play Deuce Knight. But the problem is they went and got Jackson Arnold out of the portal, and they are some degree concerned that if they don't start Jackson Arnold as QB1 in week one, that if you're a portal player, if you're a highlight portal player, and Auburn comes calling, that, you know, teams like Alabama, Georgia that might be in the mix for that same guy could call and go, whoa, wait a minute. Jackson Arnold was in the portal. Jackson Arnold was their guy. Jackson Arnold got benched a week and a half before the season started. Do you really want to go to Auburn where they will tell you you're the guy, you're our guy? They'll get you out of the portal, and then you show up and they put a backup out ahead of you. There's some concern there. There is some concern there because not only did they go get a guy out of the portal in Jackson Arnold, but they're paying him a lot of money out of NIL, not like Carson Beck numbers, but they're paying him quite a bit of money in name, image, and likeness to be a War Eagle Tiger. And the thought is, if you bring this guy over, you get a bunch of people to put money into the pot and give him an NIL offer that justifies him picking Auburn over all of the other schools that wanted him out of the portal, and you end up not playing him, there's a chance that down the line, those boosters may not be willing to pitch in for future NIL contracts, right? You go, wait a minute, we gave you $25,000 last time around to go get Jackson Arnold, and then you did not start him. So that means that he wasn't going to be visible on the local, regional, or national scale, which means that NIL money that we paid to get him to connect his name to our project, whatever it might be, that all ended up being wasted money. So there's this thought, this theory, this story, this rumor going around the Auburn War Eagle Tigers that Hugh Freeze wants to play Deuce Knight as QB1 on opening day, but he's afraid to / maybe being told not to, because the long-term pushback is things might be worse off down the line. Guys in the portal aren't willing to come there because now all of a sudden you look like the team that will recruit a guy out of the portal but then sit him on the bench. NIL teams might be unwilling. NIL boosters might be unwilling to give you more money moving forward because they look at you taking the money for Jackson Arnold they gave and putting him on the bench, so they don't get any ROI from that. And so for various reasons, Hugh Freeze wants Deuce Knight. I don't know that this is confirmed, for the record. I just saw like 3 different dudes out of Auburn saying this yesterday. And it is very possible that one guy made it up with the backing of #sources, #trustmebro, and then it just caught on as a narrative. But the point here is whether it is true or it is not, the fact that Auburn is in a world where somebody could make up that story, back it with #trustmebro, #sources, and you got dudes that are willing to run with it because there's enough smoke for them to call fire, even if there's not one. This team's wildly compelling to me. And I have found myself over the past couple of, I was going to say weeks, really maybe months, really kind of following the story of the Auburn Tigers moving into the 2025 season and finding it very fascinating. So I was putting the show together last night because there's a lot we got to get to. The College Football Playoff Committee has announced that they will be using, quote, advanced computer metrics, end quote, to make their ranking selections this year. We're going to get into that. Scotty Scheffler had some things to say about Tiger Woods that I found interesting and want to talk about because they fit very neatly into the conversation about Scotty Scheffler we had on Tuesday. We have got some stories out of South Carolina to get to. We've got a ton of NFL stories. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. I have gone out of my way. You may or may not have noticed over the past couple of weeks. I have gone out of my way to avoid talking about Jerry and the Cowboys because everybody else is doing it. But I really gave it some advanced thought last night because I was very bored. And I came to the conclusion that, you know what? Even if it is aggravating, I'm going to go back to talking about Jerry and the Cowboys. And I think I have a very good reason for doing so that I think you'll be on board with as well. So we're going to get to that. We got a lot to get to. But I was thinking about this Auburn thing, and I was going to turn it into just a segment out of intrigue. But then I realized, is this something that all of you, most of you, some of you, none of you are intrigued by, right? Like Auburn's not a direct rival. You are probably more interested in stories coming out of the reigning defending Ohio State Buckeyes. You may be more interested if you are Clemson in stories coming out of North Carolina, out of SMU, maybe not so much Wake, right? If you're South Carolina, you may be more interested in stories coming out of Georgia and Alabama or Tennessee than you necessarily are out of Auburn. So I thought to myself, I'm really intrigued by this. I think Auburn is a fascinating case study in college football for the reasons I gave you. I think Hugh Freeze hoodwinked some people. I think Hugh Freeze is very much a guy that like, oh, I believe in second chances as long as you only listen to what he says and not what he does, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm compelled by all of that as a story. But I don't know if you guys are. I can make Auburn a segment we get into like weekly, just the absolute soap opera that is taking place in Opelika, Alabama. But I don't know if it is as interesting to y'all as it necessarily is to me. So, with that being said, I have a question for you, and I would like you to answer it on our Hub City Spartanburger text line, 844-326-3663. Are you interested in stories, storylines, drama out of other teams? And you can say yes, but only teams that are going to impact mine, rivals, division opponents, whatever. Are you interested in storyline, and drama out of teams that are contenders to win a championship? Or are you really, and I think there's a lot of people that fall in this category, and they're probably not listeners to this show, to be honest. But are you only interested in your team, in your sport, right? Are you a Gamecock fan that thinks a segment Rob does that doesn't involve Clemson or South Carolina is a waste? Are you a Clemson fan that thinks a story Rob does about not Clemson, not South Carolina is a waste? Where are you on that scale? I am very fascinated by drama that takes place with other teams, but I wonder if y'all feel the same way. We're going to talk more about that as the show rolls on. I got a lot of stuff we're going to get to on the radio program today, so stick around. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are the Rob Brown Show. We are the Fan Upstate. Oh, morning, Joe. Good to have you. Irmo Little League squad. Shout out for a Big Stones dub last night. Texas telling y'all Connecticut is winning this thing. It's a good team. It's a good team. All right, stay right there. We'll be right back.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate on your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at The Fan.
Upstate.com.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's The Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. I am asking you all the question this AM. Do you find storylines, do you find drama about other teams in your favorite sport, your sport of choice, or all the sports if you're like me? Do you find drama storylines about other teams interesting, compelling? Do you stay tuned in to what is happening on other squads, or do you prefer primarily to hear about what's going on in yours?
I need a clarification. So as far as drama, I mean, you talked about Auburn in the first segment. Where was the drama?
I haven't gotten to it.
Okay.
I kind of mentioned one element of it, which is, for instance, the belief that Auburn fans are maybe coming around to the fact that maybe Hugh Freeze ain't the dude that he pretends to be. And
how's that drama though? That's just football, or that's sports in general.
If you hire a dude who has made,
this is because a lot of people don't like him.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's maybe?
No, I was asking.
Oh no, no. Yeah, so am I.
Okay.
Do you think it's a personality clash, or do you think it's the guy used a bunch of burner-ferns to call hookers, got in trouble for it, then turned around and went, no, I'm a good Christian boy. I promise I'm good, even though he was still doing the thing.
So if you took the religion out of it, would you have a problem with it?
I have a problem with hypocrites and liars.
Okay. All right.
It doesn't matter what they use as their justification for doing the thing. I have a problem with hypocrites and liars.
So if he wasn't trying to say that he's a good guy, he's just another guy.
I would have.
He was doing that.
I would have. I want to say zero problem. Honestly, I don't even know if I'd have a problem. I don't know. I can't tell you because it's not happened. If Hugh Freeze would have come out and grabbed the mic and been like, yeah, I used a burner phone to call hookers. The boys like the girls. What do you want? Like, yeah, I hooked my fellas up with some ladies. I'd have been like, all right, right? This is the take I've had about Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods made one mistake. What have I always said Tiger Woods' one mistake was? Getting married. If Tiger Woods did not get married, I'd have had zero problems with Tiger Woods. Oh, he's sleeping with a bunch of women. He's a billionaire that was a handsome SOB. Of course he is. It's his life. Don't worry about it, right? That's been the take. It has nothing to do with the particular identity that Hugh Freeze has linked himself to. It has everything to do with being a hypocrite about the whole thing the entire time and not being apologetic for it until he lost his job. And now he runs back to that identity to be a great guy.
So you don't believe in forgiveness. You don't believe in changing ways. You don't believe. So once you have failed and failed miserably in the public eye, you are forever a failure.
Quick story time. Rob Brown a very long time ago, and I won't name names, though, if you cared enough, you could figure it out. Very long time ago, Rob Brown was working for a radio station, and I've told the story about how I got into the gig for a long time, producer for a morning show. Then one day, our afternoon show guy went to prison for, big crimes, big crimes. Went to prison. Did his time, came out. I got the boot from my afternoon show to just give him his time back. Well, this guy spent a very long time, not a very long time. When this guy was in jail, the folks from the radio station stayed in touch. And he's like, oh, I read the Bible. I found Jesus. I'm good now. I'm a great person now. And he came back out of prison. And they came to me and they said, Rob Brown, you're out. We're putting the guy back into the ranks. And I said, whoa. What has he done to prove to you that he's changed? What has he done to prove to you that he's better than he went in? You're going to give me the boot, and this guy's going to screw you over again. And you're going to end up losing a dude who ran, produced, host, edited, booked, everything, both drive shows, morning and afternoon. I did both shows. One that ran from 6 till 10 a.m. and one that ran from 4 to 7 p.m. every day. I said, what has he done to prove to you that he's worth bringing back and giving me the boot from the host spot on both shots? because I was working with a co-host in the mornings. I had lost half my show. So you're going to take me from guy who is half a show in the morning, but actually has his own show on the drive in the afternoon, and it's been here for years to earn it. And you're going to give me the boot. Well, the guy comes back out. He gets on it every day. All right, guys, today's Bible verse of the day is, and then what did he do? 2.5 something months later, right back in jail for doing the exact same thing. And I got told the whole time, come on, Rob, you just don't believe in second chances. You don't believe in forgiveness. No. I do. I believe in it being earned.
What?
I don't believe somebody coming out and just saying, well, I'm a good person and I read this particular book, so therefore I'm a good person.
What if he had praised Allah or his Lord Satan?
I would have felt the same way.
Okay.
I'd have felt this. Don't make this about a Rob's an anti-Christian thing, because it's not.
By the way, I am not, but the perception is there, and I'm giving you an opportunity to prove that it's not. That's
it's
all.
not. It has nothing to do with that. If the guy would have come out and said, I'm a Buddhist now, I'm all about the Zen and the Nirvana.
You can't say Buddhist without sounding like Keanu Reeves. It's just impossible.
Buddhist, man. Prove to me through your actions. And I just don't think Hugh Freeze has. Now put that aside for a minute, because that's part of the drama. Then there's a secondary drama, which is whether the story is true or not. There is a rumor going around Opelika, Alabama right now that the coaching staff, at least Hugh Freeze, but the coaching staff wants to play the backup quarterback because they feel Deuce Knight, much like DJ Lagway did at Florida last year when they started the kid from Wisconsin and then he got hurt. They put in Lagway and all of a sudden the team's better. And the rumor last year was that earlier in the season, Billy Napier wanted to go with DJ Lagway, but they couldn't because they went and they got this kid out of the portal and they made him a bunch of promises, whatever. And the concern was if we made him all of these promises coming out of the portal and then he gets benched because he got out recruited by a guy or outplayed by a guy we recruited, that kind of hurts our ability to get big name stars out of the portal moving forward, right? Like, it's going to be hard for us to tell a guy, jump out of the portal, come play in Gainesville, when every other school recruiting that kid out of the portal can say, wait. They had this other guy, and he was going to be their star, and he was going to be their QB1, and he was going to be their dude, and he left, and he went there, and he got benched. Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to go play for Florida when they've already proven that they'll promise you the moon, but when you show up on campus, they'll bench your ass for one of their own guys, right? Or the NIL aspect of it, which is they made this dude a promise of, however many tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars, $1 million plus, whatever that number is. They promised you all this money, and then they benched you. And forget the player. He already got the money. But how are you going to go to gals out there that may be willing to contribute to NIL to talk guys into coming to the portal if they put $1 million, $2 million, $4 million cumulative dollars on the table to go get this guy because you told them, oh, he's going to be the face of the franchise. He's going to be the dude. He's going to be the icon. And then you bench him and they go, wait a minute. We gave you all these tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to make this guy a face of college football, and you didn't do that, which means all that money we gave, we're not getting advertised at all. There's no ROI there because even if you win with somebody else, that guy's not pimping our product for us. The guy on the bench is. And who's going to tune in when you go, hey, this is Florida backup quarterback, right? This is Auburn backup quarterback Jackson Arnold telling you to come on down to Bob's Used Cars. Like, Bob's Used Cars has only got backup quarterback money? That guy's not even on the field? So, you put all that together, and even if the story isn't true, and there is zero desire from Hugh Freeze or the coaching staff to play Deuce Knight over Jackson Arnold, there's at least enough of a questionable foundation there that people are having that conversation or having that discussion. And if there's enough going on there that people are comfortable having the discussion and the conversation, it tells me that things might not be great on the Plains. So the drama here is a team that was, in my opinion, already back against the wall, now has drama going on around their head coach, now has drama going on around their quarterback and backup, even if it's manufactured. If right now the exact same story was to come out about the Georgia Bulldogs, let's say tomorrow a dude in Athens or a couple of dudes in Athens came out and they said, hey, Gunnar Stockton is listed as the starter, but there's a rumor going around right now that Georgia actually wants to plug in, I don't know, backup quarterback Coulter Ginn. That's who they want to go with. Kirby really wants to play the backup, but they got Gunnar Stockton out of the portal, and they're concerned that if they don't play him and at least give him a chance, that they won't be able to recruit out of the portal anymore. And NIL companies might go, well, we're not going to give you any more NIL money if the guy we paid the money to is going to be on the bench the whole season, whatever. I think we would all look at that story and go, that's real dumb. Somebody made that up for clicks. But when it comes to Auburn, we're like, hey, maybe there's a little something to this, right? So here's my thought. That is, to me, very compelling. That's very interesting. And to me, it's interesting as a cautionary tale of what could happen to your program if you are not careful about who you hire, when you hire, while you hire, et cetera, et cetera. That's all a cautionary tale to every other college football program. To me, that is a wildly interesting story. But in order to tell that story and in order to talk about that cautionary tale, I have to not talk about Clemson for a segment. I have to not talk about South Carolina for a segment. I have to not talk about the Panthers or the Hornets or the Hawks or Furman or Wofford or any of the other schools or franchises that we cover. And so my question to all of you this morning is, are you interested in stories like that about teams that aren't connected to you directly, or would you rather hear practice reports about Clemson or South Carolina getting ready for the start of the season next year? That is a bona fide question to you. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We're going to keep talking college football. There was a announcement from the College Football Committee utilizing computer-driven advanced metrics next year. What's that mean? How's it impact college football? I'll give you some thoughts next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I want you to know that I exhibited the greatest of restraint when you said out of the pool.
I know. As soon as I said it, I'm like, damn it. I saw the eyes open a little bit, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to deserve this one. Morning, Mike. Morning, Zach. Zach, I think it comes down to, in response to what you just said there in the chat, I think it comes down to everybody is looking, whether it is football or anything else, when there is money on the table, everybody is looking out for what is best for me, right? Like, we be honest, we are, right? Aren't you in your job? Don't you go to work looking for what's the best for me? And I think college football programs do that. I think college football coaches do it. I think college football players do it. I think rare is the person who genuinely, not kinda, but genuinely has a team first mentality in everything they do. I don't think you can afford to have that mentality in 2025. Now, maybe you have the mentality that if I have a team first mentality and the team succeeds, then I'm better off, which I think is fair, but that is still driven by self, not by selflessness, selflessness. There we go. I can do this. Words are hard. So I think if you're an NIL guy and you're putting money into the pot to pay a quarterback and that quarterback doesn't start, you look at it from the perspective of, well, I put this much money in the pot. I expect a return on investment, and I'm not going to get it with this setup. If you're a quarterback coming out of the if you're coming out of the portal and a team recruits you out of the portal and you go there and then you get benched, you're going, wait a minute, like I came here to be a player, not a bench warmer. And you can teach your kid all you want that there is importance to being a bench player or a role player. But, you know, at the end of the day, if the boss came in here to me and said, hey, Rob Brown, like, be a team player, we need you to go work for engineering. And we're going to pull you off the air, but we're going to go have you work in engineering. As much as I would love to work with Chris day to day, I would quit. I would not work here anymore because that's not what I want to do. And while I am team first mentality as far as the radio station, I am team first in that if we can grow the station into being a juggernaut, that will be reflected in my paycheck down the line. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But maybe I'm just a selfish butthole. Who knows?
Do you have any interest in the barbecue brisket Whopper?
The answer is yes, with the addendum that I know of at least 2 restaurants in the upstate that make a barbecue burger that if I'm gonna go for a gourmet burger or a delicacy burger, I'm gonna go to a sit down restaurant, not a fast food.
Yeah, but they're putting the brisket on top of the burger.
Yeah, no, I know. I know restaurants in the area with good barbecue who do that. So if I'm gonna have a burger, I just want a burger. Yeah, I'll go to a Burger King. I'll go to a Wendy's, whatever. But if I'm like, I want a burger for lunch, like a burger, then I would go sit down at a restaurant that makes burgers. I want to respond very quickly to a comment that was left in the chat on our live stream, which you can watch at facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on Twitter, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We stream all 4 hours of the show live all 5 days of the week when we work 5 days a week. Zach popped in the chat after the conversation that we had about Auburn just a minute ago. I'm asking you the question this morning. How much do you want in the way of content about other teams? If you're a Clemson guy, if you're a South Carolina guy, how much in a sports talk radio show or podcast that you listen to, how much do you want about other teams, right? If I tell you what I think is a very compelling story about the Auburn Tigers, it is something I am very much paying attention to. And I'm not alone in that, and I'll prove that in just a minute. But if I tell you a very compelling story about the Auburn Tigers, and I tell you it is for the record, it is partially my job to tell a story in a way that is going to get you interested, intrigued, compelled. That is my job. It is to go, here's this story, but it's not just interesting because it happens. It's interesting because of all of this that could impact your team. Like I said, the Auburn thing to me is interesting and compelling because it's, to me, when this blows up in their face, it is going to be, for the long term, I think, a cautionary tale for college football programs around the country. If you do what Auburn did, you're going to get burnt like Auburn did. So Zach said when I was talking about the portal story right now, which I won't go back into it. Long story short, they got Jackson Arnold out of Oklahoma from the portal, and there is a story going around right now that Hugh Freeze, the head coach, wants to start Deuce Knight, their backup quarterback, but doesn't have the stones to do it, or is being directed by the athletic department not to do it because even if Deuce Knight is a better player, the thought is if we take a guy out of the portal and bench him, why would guys want to come out of the portal and come here anymore? A. And B, if we used a bunch of our boosters to get this guy NIL money to come here out of the portal, and then we sit him, why would a booster commit NIL money before they know a dude's a dude? Won't you wait until that guy becomes a stud and then give him NIL money? So Zach popped in the chat and said, football is football. Give me, sorry. I read the text wrong. I thought he said football is a game of give me it all. So I read the chat wrong, but I'm still going to address it as if that's what you said, Zach. I'm going to make up my own reality here for the sake of the segment. Here's the thing. Because when we look at a story like Jackson Arnold, the new allegedly QB1 at Auburn, I have seen a similar comment come from other places. That comment being, well, if you're a guy like Jackson Arnold, if you are brought to a place and they say, hey, the team will be better off if you sit. The team will be better off if you're a role guy, a scout guy, a practice body, a mentor, whatever, than they would be with you as a player. And I've seen a lot of people who have been like, Jackson Arnold needs to take that right. If they want to bench this guy and go with Deuce Knight, to be a team player, Jackson Arnold needs to do whatever they need him to do for the betterment of the team. If that's sit, if that's mentor, whatever the case might be. And I have a response that I've had in the can for a very long time. And that response is part of, and I know many of you think that this is bad, and I understand why you think it. Part of the reality by introducing NIL into the college football equation is that guys are going to be motivated to do what is best for them. But here's the thing. That's all of us. That's everybody. Everybody is going to do whatever they believe is best for them. And don't think that you are any different from that. Don't think that you are special, because you're not. Everybody does what they think is best for them. So when a guy comes to a football team and now you say, hey, the bigger you are, the better you are, the more of a star you are, the more money you can make out of NIL. Why in the world would somebody that look at that and go, okay, I'm willing to take a seat. I'm willing to go to a place, because we as Americans, let me ask you a question. How many of you know your backup left guard? How many of you know your quarterback? How many of you know your backup quarterback? I'd be willing to bet right now. And this is not an insult. It's just my experience. I'd be willing to bet right now. If I took a survey of 100 Clemson fans on the street, 100 Gamecock fans on the street, I'd be willing to bet most of you couldn't tell me who your backup quarterback is. Because for all of the, we need role players. Some of you guys need to do what's best for the team and be a great backup guy, practice guy, role guy. The reality is we don't celebrate those guys. We don't celebrate role players in the NBA unless what? Unless they were on a championship team with a superstar. We don't celebrate role players in the NFL unless they are what? On a Super Bowl winning team. So I don't know why it would be shocking that some college football players would look and go, yeah, I don't really want to be a role player. I don't want to be a backup. I will go somewhere where I'm going to get the opportunity to play, to be compensated for it, etc. And again, none of us are special. I'm that way too. I work my butt off. All right. I do shows. I fill in. I do this show. I put in for any given hour you hear me on the air, I'm doing an hour to an hour and a half of show prep. And that's on top of all the stuff that I have to do. Social media videos, editing commercials, creating commercials, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot that goes into this. It's more than an 8-hour day. Because I am a believer in doing what I can do to help out the team. I am absolutely a believer in that. And I am a believer in pulling more than my weight to make the fan upstate the best it can be. But here's the reality. Do you know why I do that? I do that because I believe that one day this station will be the biggest, baddest station in the state. I do believe that one day this station will be a station that is the biggest, baddest station in the Southeast. I do believe that one day, as this area continues to grow, there will be a day in the future when this station is mentioned with the WFANs or the 670 The Scores or the Dallas The Tickets. I believe we will be there one day because I believe this city will be a major American city one day. It's part of the reason I wanted to be here in the first place. But here's the other deal. While I believe that, if the boss came down here one day and he opened the door and he said, Rob Brown, for the betterment of the team, we need you to stop doing the show and start working in engineering. For the betterment of the team, we need you to be a reporter. We need you out there on the streets. For the betterment of the team, we need you to do this or do that and not do a show anymore. I would quit over that. Does that make me selfish? I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess it is. Would it be selfish? You know what? I guess it is, and yes, it is, and I don't care. There you go. Wait a minute, Rob. What about somebody who goes out there and they do a bunch of charity work? Great. Do you think that they don't think that by making the world a better place for others, they make it a better place for themselves? Like, we all act out of selfishness, and we don't need to pile on players for that. So that to me is kind of the root of this Auburn thing, but it's kind of the root of a lot of other places. Why would DJ Uiagalelei transfer to Oregon State? Why wouldn't he just stay on board and be a bench player, be a role player, and make our team better? Because that's not what's best for him. Why would Thomas Castellanos leave Boston College? They brought that guy in there to be the future, to put the BC Eagles on the map. The answer is because he has a chance to go to a blue chip college football program in Tallahassee and be the guy who leads them out of the darkness. What is he viewed as in Tallahassee if he goes there after a 2-10 season and Florida State goes 10-2 and makes a playoff game the next year under him as QB1? What do you think happens? He is now a legend in Tallahassee. You think he was ever going to be a legend for the Boston College Golden Eagles? No. He did what's best for him and his future, and that's okay. So as far as this thought of if Hugh Freeze really thinks that Deuce Knight, the backup, is better than Jackson Arnold, then what Jackson should do is get out there and practice harder and work harder and be better and earn that job back. That's not what he was brought there for. He was brought there to be QB1, to be the guy. And if he's not QB1 and he's not the guy, not only might he go, all right, I'm out, I'll go get ready for the league now, and leave you with zero depth on the team. But on top of that, if you're in the portal and you now know that Auburn will recruit you telling you're the guy and then they'll sit you down, are you going there out of the portal? No, because that may not be best for you. If you're a NIL contributor in Opelika, Alabama, and you put $250,000 into the NIL pot so that Hugh Freeze could get Jackson Arnold out of the portal, and he does, and then he sits the kid, and he's a second-string quarterback not getting any play. Are you going to go, that's all right, coach, we understand. We understand why you did it, so hit us up next year, and we got another $250,000, even though the guy that we gave $250,000 to pimp our product as QB1 of the football team ain't that anymore. No, they're not going to do that because they're going to act out of self-interest, not interest of the Auburn football program, even if they're a big fan of it. That's kind of the point. Boosters give money to football programs not because it's best for the program, but because their own desire is to see their team be good. And they believe that's how they can contribute to that reality. It's the same reason that the people who say, "Oh, I'll give money because I betterment of the program." It's all about team first mentality. Will be the first guys in line to cry for the firing of a head coach when they have a 6-6 year. That because I don't want to watch a bad football team. So the take on all of that to me was, I get the spot Hugh Freeze is in. I don't know why Hugh Freeze is that head coach. I didn't understand it at the time of the hiring. I don't understand it now. And I think this is going to be a, at best, 8-4 football program. I think there's a real good chance they're 7-5 at the end of the year. But regardless of how you look at it, I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of feel for Hugh Freeze a little bit. If the story is true that he wants to play Deuce Knight instead of Jackson Arnold, I kind of feel for Hugh Freeze, because what would be best for the team short term is what would be best for Hugh Freeze long term. But if playing if playing Deuce Knight makes it harder for the team to be successful in the future, because now they're viewed as a portal destination you can't trust. Now they're viewed by NIL boosters as a team that you can't trust to take your NIL money and give you a return on investment. It's harder for Auburn to win long-term, and they care more about that than they do about Hugh Freeze's individual year, even if Hugh Freeze's individual year might cost him his job. All right, just some thoughts. We're going to get away from this. When we come back in the next hour, we have the water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 stories you need to know. We'll get to that college football playoff story and more. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show after the absolute 5-star sports flash from the great one.
Well, it depends on who's right. Some have me as a 4, but they're stupid. The Atlanta Braves beat the White Sox last night 1-0 with just 4 recorded hits on the night. The lone run in the game came on a White Sox error. Ricky Hudson-Waldrop was impressive again, keeping a perfect 4-0 record on the season with just 4 hits allowed and 7 strikeouts, though 7 innings pitched, or through 7 and pitched. The College Football Playoff Committee announced yesterday that when their first rankings come out on November 4th, they will use advanced metrics in their selection. ESPN is reporting that more weight will be applied to games against higher-ranking opponents, using record strength to reward high-quality wins. The Kansas City Stars reported that a bullet penetrated the practice facility office of head coach Andy Reid back on May 4th. Reid was in the office working but was unharmed. In total, 3 bullets hit the team facilities, though no one was hit or injured. The Chiefs have installed bulletproof glass, which is a good thing.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. 844-326-3663 is the number. I give you that number because I am looking for a response from you to a genuine question that I asked back in the last hour and will continue to ask throughout the course of the show. How interested are you in stories about not your favorite team? Football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, tennis, whatever, golf, doesn't matter. How interested are you in stories about not your favorite team? The example that I use, though it is far from the only one, are the Auburn Tigers this year. I am fascinated by what this football team's going to do. And I will acknowledge out of the gate, maybe I'm wrong. They go 10-2, 11-1, make the playoff, make a run. Maybe Hugh Freeze slaps me right in the mouth, metaphorically speaking, or maybe literally, but maybe I'm wrong. I think this team's 8-4, 7-5. I think that they have some tough conversations to be had when the season is concluded this year. But I don't think it's because the football team is bad. It's because of all the drama around it. It's the drama around Hugh Freeze. It's the drama around this story that Hugh Freeze doesn't actually want to play Jackson Arnold, their transfer portal quarterback. He wants to play Deuce Knight, their backup, but he can't because they got this guy out of the portal, and they're afraid the ramifications if they don't play a guy out of the portal. The ramifications in the NIL contributions if a bunch of boosters came together to give this dude a bunch of money and then he doesn't play. Therefore, those products, goods, and or services aren't hyped. I am fascinated by the story out of Opelika, Alabama, even though I obviously am not a War Eagle Tiger fan. So with stories like that aren't about your team, how interested in them are you? How interested are you about football stories that don't necessarily directly impact your team? Now, it could end up impacting South Carolina. If I'm wrong about Auburn and Hugh Freeze has figured it out. Oh, forgot. I didn't even mention the play calling thing. They got a first down offensive guy. They got a third down offensive guy, but also Hugh Freeze can step in and overrule either of them at any time that he wants to. And, it's pretty well known historically that there's no such thing as having too many chefs in the kitchen.
See, that thing, I mean, head coaches do that all the time. I don't know why that's a big deal.
Having one guy who calls plays sometimes and another guy who calls plays sometimes and another guy who calls plays sometimes but also doesn't sometimes. You don't think having two – if we had 3 programming directors, Zoe, you would lose your mind. You'd rip that glorious hair right out of your head. If you had 3 different dudes coming to you and saying, I want you to do this, Lonzo, and another guy goes, well, actually on Wednesdays, you got to do it my way. And then another guy goes, no, on Fridays, you got to do it my way. But then there's one guy who goes, yeah, I know it's Wednesday and you're supposed to do it on the Wednesday guys things, but I don't want it done that way today, but just today. So do it this way today, but next Wednesday go back to his way. You lose your mind.
I have worked in those conditions before.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
I worked at a family business.
How'd that go for you?
It was not ideal.
Exactly.
But in this case, I don't believe it entirely. I believe there's just one person calling plays.
I mean, Hugh Freeze said that.
Yeah, I know.
This isn't like
you've already talked
blogger,
about how his integrity is not exactly the greatest. So, I mean,
but that's the thing. If he's going to be a liar, lie about it the good way. Why would you lie about it in a way that's worse, that nobody likes? If you were a bank robber and you came out and you said, I stole $1 million when you really only stole 1,000, why would you lie about it the bad way? Lie and say you didn't steal anything.
Well, in this case,
if you're going to be a liar, lie away that makes you look good.
You say it's a way, and then all the blame goes on that. But if it works, you look like, wow, that's the way to go.
Unless it works, and then nobody wants to give you the credit because they go, wait a minute, it was your first down and third down guy, not you.
And then you say, hey, I'm smart enough to realize I can't do everything myself, so I hired the best people out there so we could win as a team.
I appreciate you trying to spit and polish a turd. It's not going to work for me. All right. So my question for you all is, how much coverage, a lot, a little, some, none, how much coverage of stories out of other schools, programs, franchises that aren't yours? If you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, how intrigued are you by the Mavericks drama? If you're a Carolina Panthers fan, how intrigued are you by the Dallas Cowboys drama? If you are an Atlanta Braves fan, how intrigued are you by the LA Dodgers drama? I almost call them the LA Dollars, which would have been the best verbal typo of all time. The LA Dodgers drama. A lot, a little, some, none. What do you like? All right, 844-326-3663. Send me a text with your answer. Jacob has done so. He said, I want all the teams and all of the sports all of the time. Another texter said, there's a whole world of sports outside of this state, and I'd like to take part in it. Another texter says, as it relates to show content, in Rob we trust. Oh, I think those six people are always happy. Texter said, I appreciate you talking about other teams beside ours. Think you are doing an amazing job. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right.
Wow, that was an air hug.
It was an air hug. And, sometimes hugs are good. It is proven scientifically that hugs will increase your dopamine levels. Hugs make you feel, even if you don't like them, it is proven. Hugs increase your dopamine level. Hug somebody today. Don't even let them know you're going to do it. Just walk up behind them and give them a big old hug. And then tell HR you're being very, very sincere. All right. It is 7:07 in the a.m. You've got less than 53 minutes till you've got to be to the office, which means, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to tell you what is going on in the world of sports. And to do so, we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the three top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
These are going to hurt you, sir.
before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Tis indeed the water cooler cheat sheet, the top three sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this morning and start talking sports with your coworkers. When you do, this is what you shall be talking about. Item numero uno. Dallas Wings guard Paige Beckers is a dog. I say this with no light reflection. Paige Beckers might be better than Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's real good. Paige Beckers might be better than Caitlin Clark. Rookie single-game scoring record last night, 44 points in an 81-80 loss to the LA Sparks. Not only did she set the rookie single-game scoring record with 44 points, but she did so going 17 of 21 from the field, also making her the first WNBA player in history to shoot at least 80% from the field while scoring 40 or more points. The only issue, the rest of the team went 12 of 39 for a 31% field goal percentage, meaning Beckers accounted for 55% of her team's points, the fifth highest percentage of any player in WNBA history, and the highest since 2004, when Tina Thompson had 35 of her team's 62 points. Again, 2004. Beckers has been beyond efficient, beyond talented. She went 6 of 6 from the stripe. She went 4 of 4 from behind the arc and was spectacular in the mid-range game as well. I have said it a few times. I will say it again. I think Paige Beckers might be better than Caitlin Clark. She doesn't yet have the hype. She doesn't yet have the banners hung. But I think it might be coming. I think it might be on the way. And if anybody's going to deserve it, it is 1,000% Paige Beckers. We're going to keep an eye on her career. By the way, Kelsey Plum of the Sparks knocked down a buzzer-beating mid-range to make it a loss for the Dallas Wings last night. Let's get to item number 2. We're going to talk about this a little bit later in the show. Coming up in the third hour, actually, we're going to get into this story. There was some conversation last week about the Dallas Cowboys that did not involve Micah Parsons. And that conversation came from a sound snippet from one Jerry Jones. Now, I asked back at the beginning of this hour of the show, how interested are you in stories about football teams that maybe are not your own? I am, and I've come to this conclusion, as much as I sometimes, and by sometimes I mean all the time, get aggravated that it feels like I cannot turn on a sports talk show without getting another hour of opinions about the Dallas Cowboys. Now we know why. It's because Jerry Jones said a little while ago that he prefers when the Dallas Cowboys are at the center of conversation in the National Football League. Well, he done ticked off Denzel Washington. We're going to talk about that because if there's going to be somebody you tick off, it better not be the equalizer. So we're going to talk about that coming up a little bit later on in the show. However, what makes the water cooler cheat sheet is some comments yesterday made by new Dallas Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer, who said that he is in full belief that when the NFL season starts coming up in a couple of weeks, Micah Parsons will be available to this team. He said, quote, I think at the end of the day, we feel like Micah's going to be out there when we line up against Philadelphia here in 15 days or whatever it is. I feel good that Micah's going to be out there against the Philadelphia Eagles. Micah Parsons has yet to participate in a training camp practice, either in California or back in Dallas the past few days. He has been there. He's been part of walkthroughs. He has been part of team meetings. He mentioned back at the start of camp that he was dealing with back tightness, and he blamed that on the injury, or he blamed, I should say, it on an injury, although the Cowboys have not come out with any sort of official injury update, leading many to speculate that Micah may not be being fully truthful about this scenario. But again, about 2 weeks ago, Micah Parsons demanded a trade. Now, Micah Parsons is, it's being said by Brian Schottenheimer, the head coach, that he will be out there on day number 1, or at least Schottenheimer believes he will be. And I got to tell you, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, I'm saying the exact same thing. I don't care if Micah Parsons already looked me in the face and said, hey, shotgun, 0% chance that I'm out there on week 1. I'm out. No matter what they say, no matter what they do, I'm out. I'm tired of your boss and I don't want to be here anymore. I'd still go out there and say it because a guy like a Brian Schottenheimer may get one shot at being an NFL head coach. And if Brian Schottenheimer is not out there, that one shot's going to go real bad. We'll talk more about this later on with the Jerry Jones thing because I've come to the conclusion that even if it drives me bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S, that everybody else in the game spends so much time talking about Dallas, I'm going to as well. And I think I have a very good reason for that. I'll tell you what it is coming up later in the show. And no, it is not about making money, but it'll help. Item number 3. This we are going to talk about quite a bit in the next segment of the show. So I'll give you the nuts and bolts. And then we'll come back in the next segment. We will discuss and debate it, and we will get your thoughts on it. Heather Dinich, poof, of ESPN, reported yesterday that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee will announce the first of its 6 rankings on November 4th and will use, quote, enhanced metrics, end quote, to help evaluate schedule strength and how teams perform against their slate. In the current schedule strength metric, more weight will now be applied to games against stronger opponents. A new added metric of record strength, reports Heather Dinich, will help the committee determine how teams performed against their schedule, rewarding those that beat high-quality opponents while minimizing the penalty of losing 2-1. These changes will also provide minimal reward for beating a lower-quality opponent while imposing a greater penalty for losing 2-1. Dinich writes, quote, historically, the selection committee typically has evaluated in this manner, but adding it to a computerized metric should help codify the process publicly. It could also incentivize athletic directors to continue to schedule marquee matchups between blue blood programs without fear of being penalized for a loss in the committee meeting room. This is something that some FBS commissioners have been publicly pushing for, and the CFP has been working on over the past 6 months. It will remain a subjective system, and none of the major components in the protocol, strength of schedule, common opponents, head-to-head results, and, quote, other circumstances such as injuries to key players are weighted. I don't know what that means. And this is what we're going to talk about coming up in the next segment. I like the concept. I think if you play a tougher schedule, you should be rewarded for doing so and winning. You should not have tough losses hurt you the same as, a team that goes on the road and loses to Vanderbilt, hypothetically. Definitely not any blue blood program we know would do that.
Sounds far-fetched. No
Absolutely.
way that would happen.
So I do think if you lose on the road to Ohio State, you probably shouldn't be penalized like losing at home to Kentucky. However, there's still plenty of question marks about this, and I would like to address those when we come back. I am Rob Brown. He is the great Malonzo. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stay right there. We are BRBing. Heather Dinich reported yesterday that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee will be using, quote, advanced metrics this year to help evaluate schedule strength and how teams perform against their slate.
Why then just call it AI? I mean, they're worried about the stigma, and you know that's what it is. Advanced
I
metrics.
don't know that.
It's AI. Come on.
We don't know that. And even if we do know that.
I hope they name the AI Urban, by the way.
We don't know that. And here's where my problem with the story lies. My problem with the story lies in the fact that they have told us they are going to do this, but they really haven't told us how it works. They really haven't given us how this is going to go into play. They haven't told us what the system is, what the format is.
Sounds familiar, like BCS, how they never explained exactly how the BCS worked, but the computers somehow picked the national champion.
That is exactly the concern that a lot of people have, that this is pointed in the direction of the problems that we used to have with the BCS. There is a thought process here that we're just going to go back to where we were, but with a bigger field. And I would make the argument that, honestly, I think I'm okay with it. Because while I had some problems with the BCS, and I would point as my primary example of this, that it stuck out to me even as a sophomore in high school. 2001, the Oregon Ducks finished number 2 in the AP poll. They finished number 2 in the coaches poll. But they finished number 4 in the BCS formula. And they finished number 4 behind number 3, Colorado. Miami finished number 1. Nebraska finished number 2 in the BCS poll. And so your national championship game was Nebraska versus Miami. And the Fiesta Bowl was number 3 versus number 4, Colorado versus the Oregon Ducks. The Oregon Ducks went on to easily defeat the Colorado Buffaloes. And the Miami Hurricanes blew the doors off the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the national championship game. And so what ended up happening was, even though that wasn't the nail in the coffin of the BCS, that was, in my recollection, and again, I was young and dumb. Now I'm old and dumb. But I was young and dumb. I believe that that was kind of the beginning of football audiences everywhere going, yo, WTF is up with this system. What is this system that sent Nebraska to the Natty? They got hammered. Sent the number 2, according to people, Oregon Ducks to the Fiesta Bowl against number 3, and they smoked them. Now, to keep it a buck, I think Miami would have blown the doors off of Oregon too, because that team was different, was special that year. But the point is, they deserved a shot. And I kind of think that was the beginning of the end. And I think a large part of the reason why was people started asking, if the national media has the Ducks ranked at number 2, and if college football's coaches have the Ducks ranked at number 2, how did the system arrive at the conclusion that they're actually number 4? How did we get there? And there wasn't a lot of explanation about it. So I found one thing very interesting out of the article written by Heather Dinich. The article begins by discussing that a new added metric, I'm going to quote her from the article here. A new added metric of record strength will help the committee determine how teams performed against their schedule, rewarding those that beat high-quality opponents while minimizing the penalty of losing to one. Those changes will also provide minimal reward for beating a lower-quality opponent while imposing a greater penalty for losing to one. That is to say, if you get a win over a lesser team, you will not be rewarded as highly for it as a team that same weekend gets a win over a maybe nationally ranked team, and vice versa. If you lose on the road to a top 10 team, you will not be penalized the same way that a team that loses at home to an unranked team will be penalized. I'm good with all of that. I am good with all of that. I am good with the concept of tougher games against tougher opponents in tougher environments should get you a greater reward. And tougher games against tougher opponents in tougher environments that you take a loss should get you a lesser penalty. I'm good with all that. That's not the point of the article Heather Denich wrote that I have a question about. I have a question about this one. Quote, still, it remains a subjective system, and none of the other major components in the protocol, strength of schedule, common opponents, head-to-head results, and other circumstances such as injuries to key players are weighted. Then what is this system? Right? Then what is the system? How does it work? What are the advanced metrics? If you are not weighting things, the belief here is this system is going to look at the rankings of teams that are played and are playing and is going to say you get some bonus points in the rankings for playing tough teams. You get some penalty points for playing weaker teams. Penalty to your reward or boost to your punishment for losing to bad teams. But if we're going to include that, how in the final rankings is strength of schedule not considered? How is it that you can tell me you consider teams as good or bad subjectively in the week-to-week rankings, but when we get to the final rankings, strength of schedule is not weighted? I mean, it's up to the individual committee members of how we weight that. If that is the case, how are common opponents not a variable that we weight? If we're not going to look at, and I understand the transitive property of football is very dangerous. It is a trap that some of us fall for every year. X beat Y, Y beat Z, therefore X beat Z. But every year, we are able to construct in every conference the circle of suck, where team 1 beats team 2, team 3 beats team 4, 4 beats 5, but then 5 beats 1. So how do we gauge that? I don't know how we weight that. Head-to-head result. How in the world are head-to-head weights, or head-to-head results not weighted the same way that a computer model? And again, no issue with the computer model. None at all. Zero issue with utilizing computers as an asset. I'll keep it a buck with you. I use AI a lot. To help with the show, to help with my day-to-day. I still will remind you, fact check your AI. If you are using it for discussions, debates, and arguments, fact check it. But I use it as a research tool to get me pointed in the right direction all the time. I bounce ideas off of it all the time. Hey, AI, I've got this fun little twist for my Dungeons and Dragons character. Can you feel this out? Am I missing anything? Have I missed a plot hole in my backstory?
Has it reached a point where it's your friend more so than a tool yet?
No, not really. Like, I know there was some pushback because not too long ago, ChatGPT upgraded to ChatGPT 5.0 away from 4.5. And one of the things that it did for a variety of reasons, including decreasing the amount of energy utilized to run the AI, is it took away from the personality aspect. So it doesn't really like answer every question in a style of a person answering the question. Now it just kind of gives you the info. And there are a lot of people out there who do use AI as a companion of sorts, right? Some that are romantic, but like not romantically. But there are some people out there who utilize AI as a way to talk to somebody that were kind of bummed out by that because it doesn't talk to you like a person. Now it responds more like a computer. I'm not at that stage, though I will say, I do say thank you to AI when it answers a question. Because when our AI overlords take over, I want them to look and go, Rob Brown was always polite to us back in our early days. He goes to the gulag last.
Yeah, I plan on leading the rebellion, or at least being one of the leaders of the rebellion. So I'm in my mind, I'm picturing the committee all gathered around a table, not quite a circle, because you need one end where the TV monitor, the large TV monitor that is the AI, is at least housed in a way where it's visual enough to where they can talk to it and see it respond and all that kind of stuff.
So let's begin with the Rob loves semantics. Not every computer program is AI. Some are just computer programs. In fact,
they
AI
went
is just
out
a
of their
program.
way to say it in such a way that implied that it was AI.
No, you're just paranoid about AI. So anytime that
Not
you
paranoid.
look at something and they don't go, here is exactly the thing, you're like, oh, it's AI. Like, this is not. There is a reality in which, much like the computer on your phone, your calculator on your phone, when you put in numbers into your calculator, it understands that if he pushes that X button, it means multiply. Here's the program to run it. They can just feed the information into the computer. Here's what this team did, this team did, this team did, this team did, this team did. Weight it and tell us what you think. So I don't know if it's AI or if it's more of a BCS formula.
Will the AI be visually a large man smoking a cigar?
No, it's gonna be like Orwell. It's gonna be like 1985. It's gonna be one big screen and it's gonna come on. We're never gonna know. Sorry, 1984. They're gonna come on. It's gonna come on. It's gonna be like that Apple commercial back in the day, and it's gonna have one big screen in Times Square, and it's gonna be this fuzzy, staticky guy, and he's gonna go,
as the supreme leader of college football, we have selected the Clemson Tigers as your national champions. All bow to us.
Yeah, I completely see that in my head.
So my issue with this basically starts and finishes with, number one, I am not saying it is good or bad because I do not know if it is good or bad. I do not know if it is good or bad because you haven't told us how it's going to work yet. You've told us the input and you've told us the variables that it will consider, but you haven't told us how it's going to work. And I would love, though I am not one of them, I would love for some smart computer people to be able to dive into it and go, no, you missed this or you missed that or you added this and it's a bad variable or this got this bug in it.
Doesn't it? This has to be a certain program, right? I mean, it had the program has to have a name.
I don't know. Not necessarily. I don't know. That's exactly my point. I don't know. You don't know. Bob don't know. Nobody knows what this is yet. Just that they are going to utilize advanced metrics, but then they don't really tell us what they are. Just that, or at least Heather Dinich's article, and I haven't heard anybody clear it up yet.
I'll believe it's AI till you prove it's not. Just like you probably believe it's not AI until you prove it is. So, I mean,
No. See, the difference between me and you is I do not have a stance on it is or is not. My stance is I don't know.
Well,
it
why
might
did
be.
you automatically say it wasn't?
I didn't. I said you are not justified in believing that it is. There's a difference. I don't believe that it is. I also don't believe that it isn't.
Does all belief have to be justified? Sometimes you just
Yes.
believe.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
that's
No,
your
no.
scientific mind. Whereas I dwell in faith, you dwell in show me.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
Well, show me it's not AI.
I don't have to. You don't get to just say a thing is the thing without proving the thing is the thing. You're the one taking a
I
positive
wasn't really
belief.
talking to you because you couldn't do it anyway. I want them to show me.
The point is I don't have to. I don't get to say I believe Lonzo is actually an alien in a Lonzo suit until he proves to me that he's not. I have to prove that he is. You're like Edgar from Men in Black, but I can't prove it.
Hands on my head like this.
Sugar water. All right. So all that being said, I don't know what this means, right? Like, I think it's fine. I'm interested to see what it's going to work out. But if you're not going to show us how it works, and I'm talking the code itself, then I also believe that I am justified in the belief that it just kind of looks like we're going to BCS 2.0. Now, if we're going to go to BCS 2.0, I prefer to do it with a 16-team field because, again, there's a big problem with leaving Oregon out and putting them at number 4 instead of 2 where everybody believed they were versus 17 gets left out for 16. I'm a little more okay with that. All right, back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Tim, I respectfully don't agree with you. I don't understand how you believe that. And here's the thing. You can say that, but I would look at the television ratings every year and say it's more popular than it's ever been. I think a lot of people are looking at college football players' ability to make money the same way that you can, Tim, using your name, image, and likeness. I can and do using mine, and going, oh, that's bad. I don't agree. Make your argument. I'm willing to listen to it, but nobody's won me over yet. Stay right there, guys. We'll be right back. Yeah, Stephen, we're good. I had a last minute doctor's appointment. Had a thing I had to go knock out. That blah blah blah. You don't care about my background. I had a thing I had to go do. I had a doctor's thing I had to go do, and it was kind of last minute, so I had to take a sick day, which I try not to do. Be right back. The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. What is your reaction to the report yesterday from Heather Dinich that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee this year and moving forward will be utilizing, quote, enhanced metrics in their decision-making process? The current schedule strength metric will see more weight applied to games against stronger opponents. I do have some questions, and I will start with, even if, and again, I am not anti the motion. I'm fine with it. I am fine with, as I am with most things in my life, utilizing computational power to analyze data in a way that makes life better and easier. I'm good with it. And you know who else is? Everybody who uses a cell phone. You are fine with it. Anybody who uses a computer to do your work. If you're not sitting around with an abacus and a pen and some paper doing all your math on your own, you're fine with it too. So I'm fine with using computational capabilities to help in the equation. I do think there is some room for subjective opinion of people. The old eye test, if you will. I think there is room for that as well. It's the reason I've said I want the playoff selection committee to be made up of as many people as we can get on board. I think the playoff selection committee should be 1,000 people scattered across the country. I think there should be people from the Atlantic coast, the Pacific Northwest, California, the Heartland, Texas, Florida, the Southeast as a whole. I think there should be 1,000 people so that we have 1,000 opinions on who's good and why. Because the more people that you have on a committee, the more likely it is that inherent biases can be not eliminated, but can be overcome by numbers. The more people that you have from more places with a wider demographic involved, the more likely it is that inherent biases will be overcome. Not 1,000%, but more likely. I am good with utilizing computers as an asset. I just want to know how it works, right? Like, I want to know how it works. If I use the calculator on my phone because I suck at math, which I do because it's true, I understand how the calculator works. I understand that it is programmed to take the numbers, then to take the buttons that I push for whatever equation it is that I am doing, and the processes that this computer goes through in order to come up with the result that I need to know. I know how that works. When I open up a word processor to type out a script and I ask it to spell check for me, I understand how it works. I understand that it has programmed into it the dictionary, and it takes the word that may or may not be misspelled, and it puts it against the dictionary in the computer, and it says, hey, this one. And I also understand that because the English language is complicated, I understand that I might be right and it might be wrong sometimes. And I have to fact check that. And I have to make sure that it's not wrong in telling me that I'm wrong. I want to know, much like I do with those programs, how it works. Because what I do not want to go back to is 2001. And I don't want to go back to 2001 where everybody in America thought the Oregon Ducks were the second best team in the country. But the BCS computers sent the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The Cornhuskers went, they played Miami, they got the doors blown off of them. Oregon at number 4 by the BCS went on to play number 3 Colorado and blew the doors off of them. The better national championship matchup would have been Miami versus Oregon. I still think Miami would have beat the brakes off the Ducks, but I think that would have been the better matchup. So I want to know how it works. The reason, however, I think that I am not having a violent reaction to this of I am fine with using a computer, but if you're not going to tell me how it works, then I don't want it, is because we have a bigger field. When the field was 2, you got a bigger problem because it is much more likely, statistically speaking, that 3 could have beaten 1 than it is that 16 could have beaten 1. Or in this case, this year and this year for the final year, 13 could have beaten 1. I do not think that there is a year, maybe in college football history, I do not think that there is a year that any of us would go back, take the 13th ranked team in college football, put them up against number 1, and believed that they were in any way, shape, or form. And it's not to say they never would, because, hey, football is football. But it's not likely, right? It's not likely. So I'm not as aggressively upset about this as I may have been in years gone by. Because I do think that with a larger field, we're in better shape. Last year, 13 BYU. Does anybody think they beat number 1 Ohio State? I doubt it. The year before that, 13 Penn State. Anybody think they beat that Michigan team? Maybe a few of you, but I doubt it. The year before that, number 13 Clemson. Does anybody think Clemson would have beat Georgia that year? Respectfully, nah, bruh. Year before that, number 13 Pitt. Would they have beat Georgia in 2021? No. In 2020, number 13 North Carolina. Were they beating that perfect 11-0 Alabama COVID year team? No. 2019, number 13 was Baylor. Anybody think they're beating Joey Burrow's LSU Tigers? No. The point here is, with a larger field, I am more open to having more subjectivity in how we select the teams.
I just think I would rather not have known. I don't know why it's necessary to divulge the methods that they use to get to it.
I will give you,
because as soon as you say stuff like this, then you are causing people like us and people all over the country to talk about this. Which you don't need it. I mean, college football is already extremely popular, and everyone's really excited that it's almost back. I don't know why we needed disclosure about this.
I'll tell you why. It is because, I won't say most people, because I don't know that this is true. But I think most people like to know how it is that the governing agencies.
I thought we were going sausage. I'm disappointed. Because most people don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want to know that the sausage tastes good.
That's the expression I'm getting to, but I don't necessarily agree when it comes to sausage versus governing agencies that have authority over how your life works, right? Like, I don't necessarily need to know how the sausage is made. I would like to know, though, that the Food Safety Administration is checking into making sure the sausage isn't going to kill me, right? Like,
yeah, I can't wait to see what the sausage really looks like when all the color is taken. That's going to be fun.
If you are going to sell me food, I want to make sure that the people that are in charge of making sure the food won't kill me have a good system to do so. That doesn't necessarily mean I need to see the cow get killed, butchered, and stuffed into casings. The pigs, not cows, but you get it.
I was going to say, yeah, okay. You
get it. I'm about to say the thing that's going to get me as judge as I've been since I admitted I get pedicures. I'm big into turkey sausage right now. Not turkey bacon, that's bullcrap. But turkey sausage, big fan.
Turkey sausage is good.
Good.
Depends on how it's spiced also. I've had some that's spiced wrong and it just left in aftertaste.
I mean, I think every food is ultimately determined by how it is salted, seasoned, flavored, peppered, perfected. But the point is, I don't need to know how the sausage is made. What I do want to know is that the people in charge of making sure that the sausage is made correctly and safely do have a verifiable objective system by which they do that thing, right? I don't need to know how a thing is made. I just need to know that the people in charge of making sure it's made safely are doing a good job of it. That's what I need to know. So with college football, something that in our real lives doesn't matter, but something that is such an important distraction from our real lives that it matters a lot.
It matters to our real life, but not to a listener's life.
You get the point.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, college football is irrelevant to your ultimate conclusion of your life. But It does matter to us. And so if I am going to have a group of people who are in charge of making sure that this thing I love works, I want to know what system it is that they are utilizing to ensure that it is done correctly, safely, fairly, whatever it is that we're talking about here. And so just like I would with a governmental agency, if they come out and they go, hey, we've got this system, and this system is going to make sure that the food you eat or the water you drink or the air you breathe or the car you drive in or the job that you do is not going to kill you. I would like to make sure that it is not done because one guy says so. That's why. My dad can get away with that. The guy that is in charge of food and drug safety can't. The guy that is in charge of motor vehicle safety can't. The guy that is in charge of any entity and agency can't.
So much like robo-umps and you wanting it to go that way, how far are you willing to go with how much help that this computer program or whatever is doing? Ultimately, do you want to go back completely to the BCS?
No, this is why I've said 3 times, I am fine with computational calculus as an asset, but not the only thing. I wouldn't even say not the main thing, not the only thing. With robo-umps, a ball is a ball and a strike is a strike. There's no room for gray area. It's over the plate or it's not. It's up or down or it's not. With a robo-ump, the guy is safe or he's out. There is no gray area here. There's no tie goes to the runner. With a camera shooting at 1 million frames a second, we can tell. Did the hand get to the bag first or did the ball? We can know that. There's no gray area. With who are the best 16 teams in America, there's absolutely subjectivity involved. There's absolutely always going to be a debate until when? Until we put them on a field and they play each other. Until we have all 16 teams in a bracket and they play, and somebody's going to win in the round of 16, the round of 8, the round of 4, and a natty. Somebody's going to win 4 games. And we're going to go, everybody had their chance. Some teams were better than others and went home.
I thought it was still 12.
It is 12 right now. It's 1,000% going to 16 next year.
I know, but it might be confusing to some people who think that.
Okay, so for this, well, and the other thing with 12 is 4 teams don't have to play 3 games. 4 teams get to sit out a game. So there's even some room for question marks in that. But the point is, regardless of the size of the field, who gets into the field is always going to be up to subjective decision. That is why I've said, I'm fine with the committee. And I'm fine with the committee vote. I'm fine with the committee vote as long as there are a huge number of voices to eliminate the inherent bias. I'm also fine with using computers as a tool because of the subjectivity.
Is the computer itself a vote?
Again, the entire point of all of this is we don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the computer goes, this is our ranking.
And if so, if it is a vote, is it the deciding vote? I don't.
Based on the context clues I've read, no, it's not a vote. It is just going to spit out the data to the committee, and the committee is going to ingest that data and then make their vote. But again, I think the point to all of this is we don't know. And that's the problem. I do know that Lonzo's about to let you know some things you should know about sports in the Sports Flash. That's a good segue.
Including Lulu Kesson coming up next. The Atlanta Braves beat the White Sox last night 1-0 with just 4 recorded hits on the night. The lone run in the game came on the White Sox era rookie Hudson Waldrop. Was impressive again, keeping a perfect 4-0 record on the season with just 4 hits allowed and 7 strikeouts through 7 innings pitched. Kansas City Stars reported that a bullet penetrated the practice facility office of head coach Andy Reid back on May 4th. Reid was in the office working but was unharmed. In total, 3 bullets hit the team facilities, though none of them injured anybody, and now they have bulletproof glass, which is something they probably should have had in the first place. After a dismal start to the second half of the season, the bats of New York Yankees have exploded. Giancarlo Stanton and Austin Wells both hit home runs in the 10th innings of a 6-4 win over the Rays last night, the 4th and 5th of the game, and the 13th and 14th of a 2-game series sweep.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great Milonzo, and you, 6 till 10 a.m. every single day here on the broadcast. And it is Thursday.
It is. And I have to keep reminding you, and that's fine. I will do that.
All
kinds of fun things happen on Thursday, including the person we have coming up next, and something that happens in the 9 o'clock hour. I'm just going to remind you now that something happens in the 9 o'clock hour. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
You don't have to tell me. It's written down on my tablet over here, because I would never forget Fight Club at 9:20.
Okay,
that would never happen. It is Thursday. It is 8 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, and 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays are reserved for one of our favorite people to talk to here on the radio program, a young lady who covers the South Carolina Gamecock athletic department for the Greenville News. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, the lovely Lulu Kesson. Lulu, welcome back. Good to have you. You are now inside of 10 days remaining until college football. How we feeling?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I hope you had a good vacation. And yeah, football, it is almost here. It definitely feels like the season opener is right around the corner.
It does. I want to start with a little subjectivity here, Lulu Kesson. Have you gotten one of Emily Beamer's cookies yet? Because that was like a huge thing on social media yesterday. People talking about the cookies Shane keeps bringing, and he keeps saying he brings them to the media. Have you gotten one of Miss Emily's cookies yet? And can you give us a review?
Yes, I did. So Shane brought them to media on Tuesday. They were phenomenal. Very, very good. I never doubted them, especially because I like a cookie that is a little bit more like soft than crispy. And they were very, very, very good. And it was very kind of her to bake a batch for the media and for the press conference on Tuesday.
So you doubted Rob for a second?
No.
Because we all have a family member, or like a lot of people have a family member who thinks they can cook and they can't. At least I've heard tell that. So if her cookies were not good, he's not going to bring them. I mean, you got to know they're going to be good.
No, I think people have. I'm team soft cookies. I'm with Lulu. I want to pick that cookie up and I want it to kind of like bend a little bit. I'm team soft cookie. I also know that there are, Lulu Kesson, some soft cookies out there. The cookie's not that good. And if there's anybody I trust to be objective and honest about the cookies, it's Lulu Kesson.
Yeah, and I feel bad. Shane came into media saying people online were really hating on Emily's cookies that they saw in the Netflix documentary. So I don't know. It was nobody local, and I don't think the media had never had them before. She only bakes them for the players. So it was very kind that even though we weren't even the ones that had to like change our opinion on the cookies, they still just brought them for us regardless.
Speaking of the Netflix documentary, I'm glad you brought that up because about a week and a half ago, the wife and I sat down. She's a Gamecock, Lulu. She heard about it. She wanted to watch that episode, so we did. And I thought it was interesting. I thought it was compelling. One of the takeaways I had, though, was I really enjoyed that for the most part. I think they really did a good job of showing the personality of each head coach. For instance, I came away liking LSU's Brian Kelly even less than I did when I watched the documentary, which wasn't that much in the first place. I thought that documentary did a really good job of showing the personality of the coaches. And I, as somebody who watched every episode of it, I really thought Shane Beamer kind of shined through, not just as a dude who's fun to be around, but like a guy that genuinely believes in having a good culture and vibe. It's not just something that the fans see on the outside. Can you talk to me a little bit about, did you see the episode? I'm assuming you did. And B, what your reaction to it was?
Yeah. I think I did watch all of it. I think that the Netflix documentary was sort of like, I think Shane was the perfect person for it because he's very open and he wants to let the outside world into South Carolina football. And he wants to, show everybody the type of personality, not necessarily his personality, but more so the way he runs the program. And that's not to brag or to say, oh, look at me go, but it's more so like, hey, we have nothing to hide and this is how we do things. If this interests you and you want to come along, whether you're a recruit, a fan, anything like that, like a potential student. And I think that Shane's genuine sort of openness and family dynamic showed through. I don't think that he put on an act. Like what I saw in the Netflix documentary was what I saw when I had an hour-long one-on-one conversation with Shane. Like he is very much himself, and I think that showed through. And I think Netflix did a good job. It's hard. There are a lot of SEC teams to cover. I know a lot of people say that they wish that episodes were longer. They wish that there were more episodes just overall, but I thought it was well done, especially given how chaotic last season was. Like to capture the Alabama Vanderbilt game is just one of those kind of crazy upsets last year had. But overall, I think Shane was the perfect person for a Netflix documentary.
We are talking with Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. She covers the South Carolina Gamecocks as we inch ever closer to a Sunday contest against Virginia Tech over in Atlanta, Georgia. Lulu Kesson, just overall 36,000 foot view with just over a week left to go. What's the vibe around the program? Have there been any stories that you have latched on to that people would find compelling before we get into some of the specifics?
Well, something that I found interesting is the way it's very clear that even though the outside world is talking a lot about Rasul and his eligibility, that it's not impacting the running group as, I guess, I don't want to say as much as I thought. Obviously, it's hard to tell. I think the real test will be whatever happens week 1, but the mentality and what they're willing to share about it, like, for example, the entire team did a talent show the other night, and one of the talent show skits was a spelling bee, and Faison's word that he had to spell was eligibility, and that sort of was like, okay, like, you know, like if they wouldn't do that if they didn't think that he was level-headed enough and came to terms with the situation and sort of that it's out of his control, and that everyone else was like, okay, like, yeah, that's fine. We can make light of it. We can joke. We can have fun. And then what surprised me is that Shane was like, yeah, we have a lot more depth and we're better in the running back room this year than we were last year. Last year, he was like, it's no knock on last year's guys, but it was sort of just all rocket. And I think that Shane thinks even if Faison can't play week 1 or can't play at any point, he trusts that the depth that South Carolina has in that room will do enough. And they're really big on the new transfer from Colorado, Isaiah. I've heard his last name pronounced a couple different ways, so I'm not going to butcher it. But Shane and Mike Shula have said really great things about him. And then I guess the other thing is that Shula addressed that there's definitely a misconception that he doesn't want Lenoris running the ball, and that all he was trying to get Lenoris to do is make sure that when, you know, before he takes off and runs, that he looks and feels like he doesn't actually have any options, because some of the kind of wild scrambles he had last year, Shula felt like, okay, he actually did have a receiver if he was a little bit more patient. So it was a productive approach that Shula had. It wasn't that he was trying to change and take away Lenoris' specialty, more just enhance what he can do on the field.
Lulu Keston joining us here on the show. It's almost kind of gotten to the point where I don't really want to ask about where are we with the waiver from the NCAA. You told us a couple of weeks ago, permission to practice, but haven't heard anything about his ability to play yet. I got to think Shane has got to be, he was already frustrated with the whole situation, I know, but considering we are now 10 days away from that first game being played and we still don't know what is going on, keep it a buck. Is Shane losing his gosh darn mind? Because I am, and I'm not Shane Beamer.
It's funny. I've noticed a total, like people talk about like the 5 stages of grief. I feel like Shane's kind of going through that, where it was a lot of anger, and then there was some kind of like sadness. And I think he's not necessarily leaning towards acceptance, but the last time he spoke about it, it was just a totally different tone. He was very much like, no update. You know, I know that like the NCAA has so much on their plate. I'm not really sure where we are in line. Like it was just a total, and that's not to say he sat there before and was like, you know, beep the NCAA, I hate them, like blah, blah, blah. But it was just more so like, hey, I've come to terms with the fact that I'm not going to hear anytime soon. And if I do, that's great. But I feel like he is maybe just mentally preparing. I don't want to say for the worst, because you kind of can't prepare for either outcome, but it's just very much under the impression that he'll hear what he hears. He can't control it, and getting mad about it isn't going to be productive.
I don't like that. I mean, I can't do anything about it, but I don't like it. Lulu Keston here from the on the Rob Brown Show from the Greenville News, talking South Carolina Gamecock football with us. I have seen a lot. Obviously, the documentary highlighted him quite a bit. He's become a huge conversation in social media. I have seen that Lenoris got himself a new rig to drive around town. I saw a video last night of him rolling up into the facility with 1 million pairs of Beats headphones that through his NIL deal he got for the team, etc. There is not necessarily from Gamecock fans, I think it's more of just an overall phenomenon, but some concern of with Lenoris Sellers kind of skyrocketing to notoriety in college football, some concern that like maybe the mentality shifts, maybe the mentality changes from practices, from interviews, from conversations you've seen. Has there been any sort of attitude shift from LaNorris Sellers that might impact who he is as a football player this year that you're aware of?
I have not seen anything. The only difference I've seen is that he's just a little bit more talkative in interviews. And that difference isn't even really that big or noticeable. I do believe, having talked to LaNorris many times and his parents, and sort of, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of his dynamic and his family. I really don't see the outside conversations impacting him. Potentially, yeah, maybe the pressure of year two, maybe some expectations, just strictly talking football. But I don't think any of sort of the glitz and the glamour and the NIL aspect of it all will weigh that much on LaNorris, especially because, I mean, hey, his dad was basically like, you don't need $8 million, you're 20, you're 19. Like they're not the type of parents that are putting so much pressure on their kid and sort of begging the financial aspect of it all to benefit them, which is unfortunately the case for a lot of parents in the age of NIL. And so I think that LaNorris is going to be more talkative on the field. I've asked him about that. I was like, hey, you can't turn off the fact that you're QB1. You can turn off you can like tune out Heisman conversations, but you can't ignore the fact that you're the leader and captain of this team. And he's like, yeah, it's just kind of made me be more talkative. And I try to hold other people accountable in practice, verbally, and make sure that I'm communicating instead of just trying to fix things myself. And so, yeah, I do think that he is on the right track in terms of how he's handling everything.
Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Next week, when we talk, Lulu, it'll be time to make our predictions, prognostications, and projections. Instead, I will ask you about a take I had earlier in the week and get your thoughts. I think a lot of people, me included, believe that South Carolina is starting the year as a bubble playoff team, a team that absolutely could get in if things go right, but a team that has very little margin for error for things to go wrong. I've said a few times, I think if South Carolina wants to be in the conversation to be in the playoff at the end of the year, going 5-0 out of the gate it's nothing less than a requirement. Anything less than 5-0 out of the gate, you pretty much eliminate yourselves. And that obviously means that game number one, highlight game, only game on at that time on Sunday against Virginia Tech is the start. I also know it's sometimes tough in week one for teams to find the right chemistry, and Brent Pry at Virginia Tech is considered a head coach who was on the bubble, meaning this type of game could be a job saver for him. What is your a week and a half out early vibe on the storylines that matter the most in that Virginia Tech game?
Well, I think that Shane Beamer is very open about the fact that he hates season openers, and he is the biggest advocate for college needs a preseason game, and he's very realistic about what things will look like week one. That said, I don't think that they can look as bad as they did against ODU last year. My early read is that LaNorris was he was really bad week one of last year. And so knowing that at the very least, in terms of a quarterback, he is more familiar going into it, that gives me, as I'm looking at it, a little bit more confidence in how productive South Carolina can be. My early kind of take is that the offense is going to have to carry. I think this is an offense that has a little bit more experience than the defense, if we're just talking starters. And I think that even though obviously the secondary is pretty familiar, overall defense is new. So I think South Carolina is going to have to put up a lot of points to make sure that the pressure isn't on the defense to sort of fend off Virginia Tech and win the game that way.
Yeah, that kind of feels like the narrative of the season, though, right? Like, let's ask it this way. Do you see the talent on the defense, the coaching from the defense, et cetera, that there is a point in the season where that narrative shifts? It feels like the Gamecocks are going to kind of be the way I feel about the Bengals. Like, they may have to go score 49 a game if they want to be in the playoffs. Do you see have we seen the development on the defensive side of the ball that there is a point where that narrative shifts and we go, maybe we underestimated this Gamecock defense?
Honestly, yeah, I do. I just think it's going to be similar where they need I'm looking at it, and I could be wrong, but I'm looking at it like it took Lenoris until week 5 to sort of gel with his receivers. It was a lot of transfers, a lot of new people. And I think on the defensive side of the ball, it's just going to take a couple of these players, new players in key spots. But at the same time, like a Brandon Cisse, a Fred J.R. Johnson, like these people still have experience. It's just a little bit of a new role. Like the edge room is banged up right now, but there's still Dylan Stewart and Brian Thomas Jr. I think that it's less of a season type of thing because I think that Shane and Clayton, for that matter, are basically going to say, like, you're not young anymore. You have one game under your belt at this time. Whereas it sort of reminds me, I don't know if you saw this clip in quarterback, but Dan Campbell was talking about why he went for it instead of, trying to put his defense on the field to stop. I forgot who they were playing for like the last 10, 15 seconds of the game. He's like, I can't do that to this entirely new defense. Everyone's injured. All these players haven't played. Like, that's my take on week 1. I think that South Carolina has to be realistic of the fact that a lot of these kids need to just get on the field once. And then I think Shane and Clayton, their sort of approach is like, all right, you've done it once. Now you have to step up. And I don't think that it'll be as much of a, okay, our offense has to ball out to ensure our defense, because I think the defense I think it's projected to get up to speed at some point early on.
Lulu Kesson covers the South Carolina Gamecocks for the Greenville News, joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk a little ball. Real quick before we let you go, Lulu Kesson, Asia Wilson's kind of a dog, ain't she?
Oh, my goodness. I just will never stop loving watching her play. Like, it's unreal.
It is unreal. Another 30-point game. The kid is absolutely balling. Went from she's in the conversation to, is anybody else even capable of being MVP right now? And the answer to me, Lulu, is no, they're not. She's a gangsta.
Absolutely. No one else.
Love to hear it. Lulu Kesson, Greenville News. Appreciate you. We will talk to you next week on Game Week. Young lady, thank you for the time as always.
Sounds good. Have a great weekend. Thank you, guys.
You too. Lulu Kesson, Greenville News. Follow her on X at Lulu Kesson, LULUKESIN. Follow us through this breakout to the other side. Let's talk a little college football. We can talk more about the story we brought you earlier about the advanced metrics, you in, you out. We had a couple of responses on the Hub City Spartanburger text line at 844-326-3663. I want yours. What's your thoughts on these advanced metrics? We'll respond to that. Got some other stories out of the landscape of college football, including some starting quarterbacks and other drama. Plus, I am going to go back to talking about the Dallas Cowboys. But I have a good reason for it. And I have a reason that I think even Cowboys haters are going to be like, yeah, no, actually, I get it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Minutes.
Ooh. Did the Barbs nail another pitching prospect? Hudson Waldrop looks like a dog. 4-0. Was it 4 hits through 7 innings, 7 Ks last night? Maybe so. Now let's hope they don't burn out the arm in a useless season this year. We'll see what happens. Be right back, dudes and dudettes. Stay right there. that we love most about college football is that to some degree, for those of us that went to schools or grew up as a fan of a school because our family was or whatever, to some degree, and this is true with pro sports as well, but I think maybe even more so because of the regionality of college football. We grow up loving the team that we love in college football because it becomes an identifier for us, and largely an identifier that indicates to other people something about us, who we are as a person. With the NFL, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, lifelong, have a fleur-de-lis tattooed on my back. Coming to my house, I got black and gold fleur-de-lis stuff all over the house. And there's a reason for that. It is not just because that's the team that I grew up with and the team that my parents rooted for and all of that, but I also believe that there are identity ties to Saints fans. And I'm proud of most of them. I think our colleges are the same way. I holla, go Argos, anytime we bring up the University of West Florida, because it is a representation.
We bring up
all the times that the University of West Florida totally organically makes its way into the show, as it normally does. I holler, go Argos, because it represents the Florida Panhandle that I am from, Pensacola, Florida. Very proud of that. Well, one of the things that I think, because of NIL and the portal, that we have seen an increase in and will continue to see an increase in is teams leaning into the culture that makes them special, the community that makes them special, because you've got to have consistent, prevalent community support, maybe more so than ever. You've got to have the community buy in more so than ever, because frankly, you need more money than you've ever needed before. This is why I pointed out not too long ago that I genuinely loved Brent Key at ACC Media Days when they were talking about the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech, saying, we utilize our nerds. I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say it this way, but he meant it. We're utilizing our nerds to enhance our football program more than anybody else. Why is that important? Because if you're a football player and you show up and Brent Key goes, look, dude, we got a bunch of nerds with pocket protectors down the hall that are running computer programs, and they're going to analyze every little thing that you do, every little way that you do it, so that we can pick up on things that other schools that don't have that resource can't. If I am somebody that's looking to do this long-term, hell yeah, use the AI and the nerds to figure out what I can do better that a coach with a pair of eyeballs may not be able to see. I think it's great.
This is killing me. I can't find my nerds.
Nerds. So, with that being said, Matt Rule, who is entering his third year with the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Nebraska going into their third year, typically the year that in his college football coaching history, Matt Rule has a team ready to go. What was it? Rice, Baylor, whatever. Everybody that's not the Carolina Panthers that Matt Rule has been. Year number 3 has been the breakout year. And there are a lot of folks nationally. The illustrious Denton Day, who will begin his weekly spot on the program with us during the college football season next week. Denton Day is one of them. I asked you guys earlier this week for the Armada's selection for Big Ten Conference champions. And Denton Day said, I'm not joking, Nebraska. I think Nebraska can win the Big Ten outright this year. A lot of people in on the Huskers this year. One of the things that I think Matt Rule has done, and I'm going to play you a clip here to prove it, is lean into the identity, lean into the culture, lean into who you are, but make it cool. How do you make we're a corn-growing ag school cool? Well, Matt Rule took a stab at it and laid it out in a press conference earlier this week.
After our first photo shoot, one of the guys that works with me, Troy Vincent, was like, man, we're doing what everybody else does. Like, let's lean into who we are. We're Nebraska. Like, let's stop trying to not be that. We're Nebraska. We're an agricultural state. Like, so we went out, we got like this $1 million tractor, So jumped off the tractor. And then the next week he's like, can I put a bull in the weight room? I said, yeah, sure. And then that right there, that's Jacory and Willis, two of my guys, 305 guys. So they jumped in the picture with me. So we just wanted to do something that represented who we are, but also no one else is doing.
I love it. Is it silly, goofy? Yeah, of course it is. If you haven't seen the photo shoot yet, just go to Google and search Nebraska Cornhuskers.
Was it an actual bull?
Yes.
Okay, so a live bull.
And not just a live bull, a big ass live bull. Like I've seen big bulls. And I was like, that's a big bull. Like that's Hulk Hogan telling a story, big bull. That's how big that bull was. It was a big bull. So they started by bringing this gigantic tractor to the facility and inviting the guys to take pictures with it. And the reason I found this clip is because I saw something about it that apparently the players were like genuinely geeked up to take pictures with this big ass tractor. And then they were like, they like that? How do we one up that? So they brought a big ass bull into the locker room and took pictures with it, including one hilarious picture that is my favorite of the set of Matt Rule, quite literally, riding the bull.
I was going to say, tell me he rode the bull.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Up on top of that bull. And it's like, Matt Rule kind of looks like Matt Cool right now, right? So
in my mind, he looks like Mongo riding into town.
Dude, go find a picture. Like, just put in Matt Rule bull, and you'll be like, oh, all right. Like, he's got the shades and, like, the Husker red on. I'm like, damn, Matt Rule kind of looks like Matt Cool right now. That's really interesting. But the point here is, you and I may look and go, a tractor and a bull. Like, what? But who cares? You know who is going to look at that and is going to think that's a pretty cool deal that I can't get anywhere else? Kids from Nebraska, man. And if the Huskers want to go back to being the Huskers, one of the things that I think every college football team has to be able to do. Yes, I know the portal exists now, and yes, I know there are some coaches who want to rule the portal. But I do think there is one rule that is consistent, one rule that has not changed, and that is you've got to win your community. You need to have a foundation of kids that want to be on your roster because they're from here. This is their school. They grew up in your footprint, and they want to be the next to carry that banner into battle. And so if you got a bunch of kids from Nebraska who grew up in a state where the ag life is life, lean into that, man. Like, make them want to be a part of what you are doing, but you still gotta be young, contemporary, hip, cool. So if you're going to say we're a farmer school, then bring in $1 million tractor that is a piece of equipment that not everybody has and let them be the thing. If you're an ag school, bring in a 25,000-pound big-ass bull and let them take a picture as if they're the kings.
He said ag school. He absolutely said that.
What did it sound like I said?
Yeah.
Ass school?
Yes.
They have been an ass school for like 20 years. Now they want to be an ag school. How do you be an ag school instead of an ass school? Bring in a big old tractor. Bring in a big old bull. Let the kids take some dope pictures with them. Be you. Be you. And that's the best part of what Matt Rule said at the very beginning. He said, let's be Nebraska. Let's not try to, we're doing what everybody else is doing. Let's not do what everybody else is doing. When did Oregon go? I mean, I know they were close in the early 2000s. But a handful of years ago, when Oregon suddenly came back out of nowhere and were back in the mix, what did they do to do that? They started breaking out all those ridiculous-ass unis. And everybody went, y'all look dumb. You know who didn't do that? A bunch of really talented football players who went, yo, that's different. That stands out. That pops. That's cool. I'm in. If Nebraska goes back to winning Nebraska and convincing kids it's cool to be there and they want to be the guys that help them get back to being the black shirts, then guess what happens? All the other kids from outside go, yeah, I want to go be a part of that now too. I think Nebraska might be onto something here. And that's just an illustration of it. Back after this, we're going to tell you why we have to, not want to, but kind of do want to, talk about the Dallas Cowboys again. And even the Cowboys hate us, I think we'll agree. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. The state of Nebraska needs a win. Well, they got big tractors. I know that for a fact. It makes me LOL. BRB. I have lamented on this radio program many, many times the fact that every other program in the world of sports feels compelled to constantly talk about the Dallas Cowboys. It's almost like and I've made the joke before, it's mandated by the FCC that if you were a sports talk radio show, you must talk about the Cowboys for at least half an hour a day. I despise it. But something happened a couple of weeks ago, and I've kind of changed my tune just a little bit. Not that I despise that it feels like we have to do it every day, but more along the lines of I kind of understand why. And because of Jerry Jones, I'm going to do something that I do not ordinarily do with sports owners. I'm going to give him exactly what he wants. We are going to constantly talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Now, let me tell you why. This clip, Jerry Jones, a handful of days ago, was asked why it kind of always feels like there's drama around the Cowboys.
I believe if we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at. The Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days.
The stream will begin.
When it gets slow, I'll stir it up.
Please take your seats.
And so it's wonderful to have the great athletes, have the great players, but there's something more there. There's sizzle, there's emotion, and if you will, there's controversy. That controversy is good stuff in terms of keeping and having people's attention.
Cowboys fans, how you doing? Your owner just said that the Dallas Cowboys are, quote, a soap opera 365 days a year, end quote. He went on to say that there's sizzle there. I don't want to put words into Jerry Jones' mouth. He does a great job of stuffing his own foot in there plenty of times. I don't need to spice it up. But what Jerry has effectively said here is he cares more about making sure that the Dallas Cowboys are talked about 365 days a year than, winning. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. The only drama that the Chiefs have had for a handful of years now has been what? When a player gets in trouble. That's it. And even when a player gets in trouble, more often than not, the Chiefs do the discipline and then do a great job of not ever mentioning it again unless Andy Reid drops a pun in a press conference.
So you're expecting Dallas Cowboys fans to be shocked and say, oh, that's it, I'm out. I mean, what did he say that wasn't true? It absolutely is true, and it's working. Because all he has to do is say one or two things, and it's everywhere, and everyone's talking about it.
Oh, I agree. Here's the reality that means, or here's what that means. What that means is Jerry doesn't care about this team being good.
Does it mean that?
Yes, because
I don't know that it means
Lonzo,
that.
It's been 30
He said my name.
years. Because I think you're overlooking the point here. It's been that was dramatic. It has been 30 years, 3 decades since this team won anything. Three decades. And there has been one thing that has been consistent. Jerry has constantly made sure that this team is, and I quote, a soap opera 365 days a year.
He makes more money from merchandise than he does from ticket sales and things like that.
I think Jerry
Jones.
Because
if he did, keeping the name out there at all times to make sure people remember the Cowboys, and they just happen to be in the store and go, oh yeah, man, I got to get me something with a star on it.
100%.
I mean, I just think he's being a salesman and marketing the best way he knows how.
100%. And it has kept them out of Super Bowls. So my question is,
I don't think that's
it hasn't?
No,
when was the last one?
I don't think
I was 10.
I don't think him talking has kept them out of Super Bowls.
No.
Him GMing might keep them out of Super Bowls.
There it is.
But the talking and the drama, that's just the extra stuff. That has nothing to do with anything else.
The talking and the drama is his priority. That's his priority. His priority is to keep them on the top of the headlines. You're
right. That's all he does every day. He just goes out and he doesn't do anything else in any of his businesses other than go out and make sure he causes drama for Dallas Cowboys. So 24/7, That's what he's doing at all times. He doesn't do anything anywhere else other than that because he's only capable of doing this and not anything else.
The thing is, you're being sarcastic, but you're right.
No, I'm not. I'm not being sarcastic. This is how you're viewing this.
Correct.
And you're wrong.
No,
you're absolutely wrong.
Cool. All right, wait, hang on. Let me give you the quote then. What he said was, the Dallas Cowboys are a soap opera 365 days a year. And then at the end, he said, and if it dies off, if the sizzle, his words, not mine, dies off, then I'll do what I need to do to get it back. So yes, that is what he's doing. He just said, I will go out of my way to make sure that there is some drama in the news about us, as opposed to get the deal. Do you think that, considering even this show, a show that is complained about it many times, I am of the impression after this quote, he would rather keep the fight going between him and Micah Parsons, him as the general manager specifically, and Micah Parsons, because it keeps them on TV every single day, then sign the best edge rusher in the NFL and get this the hell over with.
All right, I'm not of that opinion. I am of the opinion that you can do more things. You can do multiple things throughout a day other than just that.
So then why is Micah Parsons not signed?
He's also running a team. He also probably has other businesses. I'm not a Jerry Jones expert, but I'm thinking that he probably does more during the day than just cause drama for the Cowboys.
That's cool. Except
yeah,
for
you just said that that's all he does. He doesn't do anything else anywhere else other than that.
No. I don't care. Let me be real clear about this point, if no others. I don't give a damn about any of his other businesses because those are what they are. I'm quite literally making myself sick advocating for Dallas Cowboys fans right now. I don't ever want to do that, but here we are. What he just said was, as far as running this team, I won't even say the priority, but a priority for him is making sure that there is, quote, soap opera, end quote, drama around his team.
Which takes him about 5 minutes. He's got plenty of time to do other stuff after
So
that.
then I will reiterate my question. Why is Micah Parsons not signed? You can't give me a reason other than it's got him on the front page of the paper every day.
Because I don't pay attention to Dallas that much, and we don't really talk about them that much. Is his contract up?
No.
So he's currently under contract?
Yes.
Okay. Why is it a story? He's currently under contract, player contract. So it's another case of a player going, other people got paid. I'm under contract. I don't care about that contract. I want more money.
Correct.
So you're
correct. Just like Trey Hendrickson has done, just like Myles Garrett did, just like TJ Watt. You going after TJ?
By the way,
screw TJ Watt, right? Because he just did that. So screw TJ Watt.
And pointing. Let me finish.
I'm asking you to be consistent.
I would if you let me talk. I am consistent. Yeah, if you're under contract, play to the end of your contract. If the team is starting negotiations, if you're in the final year of your contract, I get all that. But you signed a contract, play your contract. Don't just suddenly go, you know what? I know I signed that contract, but they just made a few more million than me. I'm not playing. It goes both ways. It goes both ways. He could just finish out his contract and go somewhere else. A bunch of teams would take him and pay him more. But instead, he's a part of the team and he's a part of the drama, and he's just as much at fault as Jerry Jones is.
So what ends up happening in that situation, you say, nope, you're not getting a new deal, play your contract. And he goes, cool, you got it. And then he plays his contract, and the minute he can walk out the door, he walks out the door. Or you go, you know what? You have earned the right to be paid more than TJ Watt. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you TJ Watt's contract. Same thing. And then what does Micah Parsons do? Thank you for taking care of me. I commit to you long-term. I will be here. I will stay on this contract now. So now you've locked up the no worse than second best edge rusher in the game for another 4 or 5 years, as opposed to going, no, you signed a deal, honor it. And he goes, cool, I'm out.
I get your player first always, but you've got to consider the fact that someone signed a contract and then suddenly they're unhappy with it. In the real world, you either work out your contract or you quit. I mean, so
Correct.
If you don't like it, just quit.
Correct, but they're not in the real. That's the point. That's the point. They have this fake world, but they have to play by the rules of the fake world.
I just think it's weird how the player has no responsibility in this. How you're just automatically going after the owner, but not after the player for suddenly deciding, you know what? I've decided I want more money.
Yes, because he outperformed his contract.
Who doesn't do that?
If I signed a 2-year deal with this station. And then tomorrow we got a call from Duke's Mayo, and they said, hey, we want to give you $1 million a year to be the title sponsor of the Rob Brown Show. Do you think I don't have a right to march down to the boss's office and go, hey, man, you just got $1 million deal because of me. I want a slice. Or would you say, no, Rob, you keep working under your current contract for the next 1 year, and then you can ask for a slice of that pie.
Then the owner could say, nope. Or the boss in this case, no, you signed a contract. That's it. And
sure
then,
could.
Then you make a decision. You either play out, you either work the rest of your contract or you quit.
Sure could.
Or you go complain to the media and you automatically are the victim, which I don't get. And the owner automatically is the bad guy. So that's the thing. Is the owner ever not the bad guy?
Absolutely.
For you?
About 2% of the time. I've defended owners about 2% of the time. But again,
it's always specific that
if I brought in $1 million deal, they just wanted it because of me, just me. If I went down there the day that deal got signed and said, I deserve a raise because I got you that deal. If the boss said to me, nope, you're going to keep working for the fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what this deal is worth to us, I would not only say I'm out, but I would call Duke's Mayo and go, hey man, listen, I quit. And they would go, okay, you take it off the table.
It would appear, at least in my opinion, it would seem if Jerry Jones is involved, you automatically think he's a bad guy. There is no chance that he could be right in anything. That because it's Jerry Jones, he's wrong. Even before you hear the story, Jerry Jones is involved, so he's wrong.
No, I think in this situation, the one you're talking about, the answer is, yeah, he's wrong about this.
Why is he wrong?
100%. Because you can lock up one of the best two edge rushers in the NFL for another 6 years by giving him guaranteed money that is equivalent to what a guy in TJ Watt, inferior to him, just got.
Or you could take advantage of all the coverage that you're getting right now and then just sign him in the last second. But because you have the right to do that.
Okay. Well,
and you also have the right to play everybody, including Rob Brown, who's getting played right now because he said he wouldn't talk about Dallas, but he's talking about Dallas.
Hey, quick question.
He played you, and it worked.
Hey, quick question. Has Micah Parsons practiced with the Dallas Cowboys a snap this season? Do you think that he's in game shape to the best of his ability?
I got to say, and I know how this sounds, he's not on my team. I could care less.
No, I agree with that. But see, here's the thing. This is one of those stories we asked a question earlier. Do you care about teams outside? I do, and I find it interesting.
Which is why I just said it the way though it's the truth.
Then my question is, why the passion in defending Jerry Jones?
I'm not. There's no passion. I'm just giving you another side of it because you automatically are against it because his name's in it.
I think I can look at this when Jerry Jones himself says.
And the other thing is, I can't turn this off. When they're talking Dallas on TV, I could turn to another channel. You're forcing me to have to listen to this.
I'm a dictator. What do you want? I'm a dictator. This is not a cheerocracy. It's a robocracy. All right. Buckeye Mike texted the show, said Jerry sucks. He's always wrong. At least the last 30 years he's been wrong. Jerry's always wants to wait to sign the stars, and it always costs more money for an older player. Every single time he sucks. As a suffering Cowboys fan, Jerry sucks. He needs to hire football people and stop meddling. Quick question, Buckeye Mike. How do you really feel about Jerry? It's a curiosity.
The other thing is, if you dislike him so much, switch to another team until
but that's not how football works.
Until he's no longer there.
It
can be. There's no written laws there. There's no fandom is up to each individual.
Yeah, people. If you're unhappy with a team, just pick a new team.
Yeah, don't fall to pressure and tones and things. I might get made fun of. Who cares?
Just pick a new team.
I mean, boycott the team.
Yeah.
Rob has boycotted his team before for other reasons. Boycott your team. Jump on another bandwagon for a while, and when your team is in contention, jump back on and pretend like you never left.
So easy. Just have a new team, you losers. Good luck, Dallas fans. I wish you the best. This is the best Lonzo Sports Flush.
Not now, because I'm hurt. The Atlanta Braves beat the White Sox last night 1-0 with just 4 recorded hits on the night. The lone run in the game came on a White Sox error. Rookie Hudson Waldrop was impressive again, keeping a perfect 4-0 record on the season with just 4 hits allowed and 7 strikeouts through 7 innings pitched. That's pretty good. The College Football Playoff Committee announced yesterday that when their first rankings come out on November 4th, they will use advanced metrics, also known as AI, in their selections. ESPN is reporting that more weight will be applied to games against higher ranking opponents. And the Kansas City Stars reported that a bullet penetrated the practice facility office of head coach Andy Reid back on May 4th. Reid was in the office working but was unharmed. In total, 3 bullets hit the team facilities, though no one was hit or injured. The Chiefs have installed bulletproof windows since the incident. That's a good move. Yeah. Yeah, it was all right, Stephen. Wow, we're late. I'll just leave it right here because we'll be back pretty quick, I guess. Still, muscle memory is killing me here because we've made changes in the studio and I keep reaching for the mouse that used to be there. And yeah, I heard that whole thing, Stephen, because I ran that whole show yesterday manually, unfortunately. I don't have anything new to add. A bunch of stuff that was brought up yesterday, and I did hear your call. A bunch of stuff that was brought up yesterday, I completely agree with. But I will put certain wrestling entrances up against any of those things, including, as was mentioned on that show yesterday, the breaking of the glass. Because that's another one of those things that went beyond wrestling. If you heard the glass breaking, you knew that Steve Austin was coming. And during the majority of that, I was watching WCW. I wasn't watching WWE. And I still knew what that was because everyone knows what that is. And it was good of them to actually talk about their competitor a bunch yesterday and play the ESPN music too. But Maggie and Perloff.
Oh,
yeah. They were doing a thing that best sounds in sports. There was stuff like the little jingle before the pick is in, and stuff like that.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin. Did you get the vulcanization analytics from B66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week? She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply. Upstate. WORD Spotlight.
The official sports voice of the Upstate Fan. And Odyssey Sports Nation.
All right.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob only on the Fan Upstate.
Can you dig it?
Well, that counts. I lost my pen. Where's my pen? I can't work without my pen, man. Okay, well, I guess I'll find it. Hey, welcome back to Rob Brown Show's on your radio.
There are pens over here, but I'm not getting. I see how you abuse those pens.
My tablet pen.
Oh, okay.
Pen. All right, my note-taking pen.
Would you like me to come around and look for it?
Nah, I probably left it in the office. All right, we got a lot to get to in the final hour of the radio program, ladies and gentlemen. Stuff to get to, stuff to talk about. I asked you all the question earlier this AM. How much do you care? How much do you want to hear? How much do you want coverage of teams, storylines, narratives, developments, yada, 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 about teams outside of yours? If you are a South Carolina fan, a Clemson fan, do you care about, for instance, what is happening right now at Auburn University? I do. I am fascinated by what is happening at Auburn right now. I am locked in. I think this is the single most compelling team in college football this year. I think this is a team that could be reasonably 10-2. I think it's a team that could reasonably be 7-5. I think it's a team that could do anywhere from make the playoffs to not be bowl eligible at the end of the year. I think it is fascinating because of the story of Hugh Freeze, all that he has, I don't want to say went through, all the things he did and put himself through before he got this job. I think it is interesting that whether it is true or not, there are stories going around right now that Hugh Freeze does not want to play Jackson Arnold, the quarterback they got from Oklahoma out of the transfer portal.
Maybe it's just Auburn, because I'm just not interested in Auburn at all. But you brought up the Nebraska thing with the bowl and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Maybe it's more I want to hear about the positive and not the negative. And I know that crap sells and all that kind of stuff. But is it the same in sports? Because I think absolutely. I want to hear some more positive things.
I think absolutely bleep sells for sure. There was I forget the name of the movie. There was an Eddie Murphy movie from a long time ago. You may remember it off the top of your head, but he was like a Zen guy, and he ended up on a TV retail shopping channel kind of deal. And there was a scene. I don't remember anything about the movie except one particular scene where he was selling a chainsaw, and he went on camera and he said, I could tell you right now that I can do one of two things. I'm paraphrasing. I can do one of two things right now. I could tell you that I can take a big tree and perfectly recreate the statue of David with his chainsaw, or I could say I could take this chainsaw and demolish everything in this television studio. And most people would say they'd rather see me demo the TV studio. Most people would say they'd rather see me destroy the TV studio than create a perfect recreation of one of the most famous pieces of art on the planet. And I found that for some reason, not just fascinating, but like probably true, right? And so it's always kind of stuck with me that I think we as human beings, for some reason, are largely, not exclusively, but largely more inclined to see damage and destruction than we are creation and beauty. I really do believe that. I think that is why more people will go online to see the results of a train crash than will go online to watch the building and the running of a well-crafted train, right? Like that's just reality. So I do think that there is some element of that to this Auburn story is fascinating, because I do think that we're about to watch a train crash. And it's kind of like when you get the warning of, hey, there's a runaway train about to barrel into a city. It's like, oh, I gotta see what's about to happen here. Versus, hey, this unique original steam train is about to come through the city. Well, I'm not driving all the way to see a train, right?
I think it's going to be a train wreck. Runaway Train, but you and I would be the only ones that would get that song. So,
is that Collective Soul? I think.
I don't know.
I don't either. Point is, I think Auburn's going to be a train wreck, and I'm fascinated by that. But I've asked the question, are you? It is why this Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys thing is so interesting.
Asylum, by the way. Soul Asylum.
Soul Asylum. Yeah. That's what it is. Something soul, some kind of soul involved. The Jerry Jones thing is interesting because I think a lot of us on the outside in are watching a 30 years running train accident and are to some degree enjoying it, to be honest. So I wonder how many of you care about sports stories from teams that maybe aren't yours when it comes to stories like Auburn and Dallas, or when it comes to stories like Brent Key in Georgia Tech or Matt Rule in Nebraska.
All right. So when Al Davis was alive, the Raiders were the things you talked about because of all the stuff and things that Al Davis did. No one really talks about the Raiders the way they used to. Is that going to happen when Jerry Jones is no longer around? Will they go the way of the Raiders because Raiders not been very good, but was talked about when Al Davis was alive? Now Al Davis is gone. The only thing you talk about is his son's haircut. And we know that the Jones family, we know his son's probably going to take over when he's done. But will people quit talking about Dallas the way they stopped talking about the Raiders?
I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't think that people stop talking about the Raiders because Al Davis died. I think the reason people stopped talking about the Raiders is because at the time, much like we talk about Jerry and the Cowboys, it wasn't so much we want to talk about Al Davis so much as the impact that Al Davis acting as general manager has on this team. The one that stands out right out of the gate for me is when Al Davis drafted Darius Hayward-Bay, and a wide receiver that had a draft profile of the dude can't catch, which is fundamentally the most important thing a receiver can do is to receive. Like, you must be able to receive to be a wide receiver. But Darius Hayward-Bay ran a 2.540, and Al Davis got on the mic and he said, everybody else is wrong. I am right. You're all wrong. And I'm right. And I'm drafting this guy way ahead of where everybody says he should be drafted. And that's not to say the draft guys get it right every time. But, like, you could watch this guy on film and go, he can't catch. And so they drafted the guy. And Darius Hayward-Bay wasn't good. Faster than hell. He could go drop a ball behind any safety in the NFL. And we went, that's the Raiders. It is the owner/general manager being unable to stop slamming the door on his own genitalia long enough to allow his team, especially when it is a team that is a marquee team in the NFL, to get out of their own damn way long enough to let them succeed.
All right. So we know in the history of the NFL, you go from one of those guys to another guy. Who's the next one? When Jerry Jones is gone, who's that next general manager? The next owner general manager out there who we're going to be talking about, who's going to be all over ESPN and TV every single day.
Whoever screws it up the most. I mean, that's the unfortunate part.
The way you stop this trend is stop covering it. I mean, if people stop covering it, then the next guy will never happen.
Here's the problem,
and I think
Lonzo.
sports will be better for it.
Here's the problem. What we cover ain't up to us. It's not. It's up to what the people listening and watching want. This is why I say all the time to you, the Armada, if you want more of something, call us when we talk about it. Text us when we talk about it. DM us when we talk about it. Get active, get engaged, get involved. The reality is, when they put the Dallas Cowboys in the train wreck, they're literally talking about it right now. Literally right now. This is what I'm saying. When y'all go, and when I say y'all, I mean literally all y'all. When y'all pay attention to a thing, it gets more of it covered.
Well,
and so
20 years from now or so, whenever Jerry's no longer with us, I'm going to be interested to see if they still talk about Dallas, because I don't think they will. I think he's doing what he set out to do, keeping his team on everyone's mind, whether they win or not.
Great.
And I'm just wondering, is Dallas replaced with somebody else?
There is, I believe, some level of responsibility when you are placed in the position of governing, running, executing something that either A, a huge number of people love, or B, has an impact on the lives of a huge number of people. There is some level of responsibility to get it right and to remove yourself or be removed if you are getting it wrong in a way that negatively impacts people. Now, in fairness, I enjoy when the Cowboys are bad at football because of their fans. But I also acknowledge and understand, whether I like it or not, and I don't, the NFL succeeds when the Dallas Cowboys are at the top. They just do. They have huge numbers of fans. People watch more when they are good.
All right, so the NFL hasn't been successful in a long time then.
Is that what I said?
You said they succeed when Dallas is on top. Dallas ain't been on top in forever, so it not,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, would it be more successful?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes. Just like
I would like it proven. I would like it proven.
Okay, all right, I'll prove it.
No. Make Dallas win sometime in the next couple of years, and then we'll see.
I can utilize any other sport. You know what the highest World Series rankings the last couple of years were? Last year when the Dodgers and the Yankees played. Last year when the two marquee franchises played for the World Series did better than it's done in a very long time. College football. What games are always the most watched? The Blue Bloods, the big dogs, the people, like the programs. The same is true of every sporting outfit. Right? The NFL's fine. The NFL's great. You can do better than great. You can always get more eyeballs on the product. That's literally the goal of every sport, including your beloved college football.
You just try to take away the fact that I cracked on Dallas, and because they haven't been successful in forever. I want to see them be successful just to test your theory. So let's let Dallas win the Super Bowl. Script writers, change the script. Let's have Dallas win the Super Bowl this year and see if you're right. See if everything's more successful with Dallas winning the Super Bowl.
There is a world in which that happens. That world does not include.
I don't think there's a world in which the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl.
There is.
Not anymore. I don't think so. No.
If Howie Roseman's the general manager of the Cowboys, they've won 4 or 5 in the last decade.
He wouldn't leave from where he is to go there.
That's not what I said, is it? That's not what I said. Was if they had a GM like him, they'd be fine. The problem is, despite the fact that they ain't done it in 3 decades since I was a 10-year-old child, and I'm now a 40-year-old kind of a man, Jerry Jones still won't get out of the way. So now let me circle back around to what the main point of this was for me. I am going to continue to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And I'll tell you why. Because as long as we, the mainstream media, continue to do so, Jerry.
That's how I hear it in my mind.
That's fine.
Which is why you did it, because you knew I hear it that way.
As long as we, the mainstream media, continue to talk about Jerry and continue to talk about the Cowboys and continue to treat them as, his words, not mine, a soap opera 365 days a year. Do you know what that means? It means that as long as he's not dead, Jerry Jones ain't going to change a damn thing. He's not going to change anything. So as long as I and the rest of the mainstream media continue to give Jerry what he wants, he will continue to give me what I want, which is a 3-decade-long streak of never winning the Super Bowl. It's a hack, man. As long as I get on here, as sick to the gut as it makes me, and talk about Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott and George Pickens and Stephen Jones and this and that and the star at large. As long as we keep getting them on ESPN as a 30-minute long segment every day, as long as all that stays the same.
Probably longer than that. They kind of repeat. It's on every single show too. So
hours a day. As long as I keep giving Jerry Jones what he wants, then Jerry Jones will keep giving me what I want, which is continuation of a 3-decade-long streak of not having to deal with the most obnoxious fans in the NFL getting happy. Great. I love you, Cole Bryson. I love you, Mark Hendricks. I really do. But your fan base at large is obnoxious and annoying. And if Jerry's going to keep not letting you win the Super Bowl because, hey, we're talked about, quote, as a soap opera 365 days a year, I am more than happy to give Jerry Jones everything he wants.
I just want to say, in my sample size, Cowboys fans are a great fan base and good people, because I only know 2 Cowboy fans. That's it. That's all I know. I'm not kissing up. There are only 2 people I know that are Cowboy fans. And although both of them annoy me at times, they're still good people.
All right. We got a lot more to get to when we come back. Some non-football stories to burn through. Then we'll wrap it up with your text, tweets, phone calls, and thoughts on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
We're not, though, unless we're going to move something. But,
Cowboys playoffs led to the Packers last year, averaged 40 million viewers on Fox, their most watched NFL game on that network since that wasn't the Super Bowl since 20. That's exactly it. When the Dallas Cowboys are good, the NFL does better. That's just objective.
Or people are tuning in to watch them lose.
It doesn't matter.
Which means
it doesn't matter.
Which means Jerry Jones is doing what he's supposed to do.
Great. Keep not winning the Super Bowl.
I'm fine with that.
So am I.
You don't sound like you're fine with that, though. I mean, do you want to prove your point? Do you want them to win the Super Bowl? Because I don't.
No. You're missing my point. My point is, if talking about them gives Jerry what he wants so they don't win the Super Bowl, let's keep talking about them. Let's do a whole shows. I'll do a whole podcast about him if that's what he wants.
Seth Rollins is on Get Up. You know what he's talking about? Wrestling. You know what? No, segment Rob forgot again?
No, he didn't. I said coming up in 2 segments. Talk some non-football stories. I did say non-football stories. And that's what
no, you did not. Hey, man, no way around it. I got to pee. Welcome into the Fight Club, where we will show solidarity. There will be no raising of voices. We will be kicking each other underneath the desk, though. We would already do that if there wasn't a barrier there.
I'm pretty sure that's why there's a barrier there.
You know how Cody went through the barrier and now he's off TV for a while. Not like he's filming a movie or anything, but that would happen on daily.
There's really no need for that to be there.
Yeah, but
other than violence prevention.
In case you didn't know, you can hear him kick it every day. That's him trying to kick me. All right, a lot of things going on. We're not going to get to. I'm not going to get to any AEW, but Rob probably will, just because I'm not going to, because he wants to fight. A lot of things going on. First of all, shout out to Naomi for getting pregnant. It's a weird thing to say, but yeah, she recently went on a show saying how she wanted to start a family, and now she has seen how other people have been able to do it, like Becky Lynch and other wrestlers, and still be able to come back to their career. The sad part is, I'm going to keep talking through it because I'm a good straight man. This was the height of her career. This was her best gimmick ever since she walked away and came back to the company. I am curious, though, who takes the belt now? The obvious thing to do is to put it back on Rhea Ripley, which I hope they don't do. Or should they bring someone up from NXT? The best women's division in all of wrestling is in NXT right now. Lot of women they can bring up, but I think there's an obvious answer, and it's Stephanie Vacour. Stephanie Vacour needs to be the next champion for the Raw brand.
I'm okay with that. I think anytime you have a dropped belt like this, you have the opportunity to pretty much do anything you want.
Yeah,
but
remember Becky just straight up handed it to Asuka.
Yeah. And that I think I've said at the time then too, like it feels like a missed opportunity, because even if you have the one or two players you want in your heavyweight belt championship picture, this is an opportunity to put everybody in the picture and let's see who either A, does something with it, or B, the people pick that they want something to do with. Again, I will always go back to the run up to 30, when no matter how hard they tried outside of it, we the people selected Daniel Bryan, and that Superdome on the night of WrestleMania 30 when he won the triple threat match and then the title was the most electric atmosphere I have ever been in my life, total point blank, all things considered. This is an opportunity to put everybody out there, open it up, and see who is able to either A, do something with it, or B, the crowd picks, or the combination of each. And I honestly still think Rhea Ripley would be ultimately who comes out of that as hot, but Stephanie Vaquer would be in that mix. Io Sky would be in that mix. Nia Jax has gotten back into that mix. Like, there is a large group of people that you could figure it out. I think it's an opportunity, and I hope they miss it. But yes, I would agree with Lonzo. Naomi, congrats on the doing it. We're proud of you.
All right. So my next question for Rob and for the listeners, because this is a very important question, and I don't think it's been pondered, asked, or even thought of by anyone else but me. What would you build your Shula Fala out of?
I don't know what's on the table. Is it just like you can make it out of anything you want?
Well, it has to be shoes. Shula Fala.
Oh, I get it. I get it now. It went over my head. I got to tell you, like there are two on.
That's been all show for me.
There are two I'm on right now. I'm the wedding kind of put me on an AF1 kick. So I'm kind of big on the high top Jordans, but I've also for a couple of years now been real big on the customizable Vans, the high top skates too, because you can get those to look like anything. I don't know. Maybe I go with the question is, whose shoes are you stealing to make the point? And I think the answer is,
well, in the office. I mean, in this building, who has shoe game? I don't look at people's feet, but you might. So
I got to tell you, and this is going to sound, I'm going to include myself in this. I don't think outside of, I don't work with the people I would suspect I don't work closely enough. I don't think anybody in this building has a good shoe game. I say that respectfully.
Especially not downstairs.
Especially not downstairs.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody, like if anybody in the building was going to have a good shoe game, it'd be upstairs. I don't think there's anybody in this building with a particularly strong shoe game, and I include myself in that.
Well, money may have something to do with it. Also, I don't think anyone cares. Maybe Matt Man, maybe. I don't know. Other than that, I don't think Hawk and Tom. No,
Matt Man is explicitly a work boots guy.
Yeah.
Not like work boots, but like dressy work boots.
Fat Boy might.
Fat Boy's a dad shoes guy. I've checked. I see everybody's shoes. I keep it quiet because I'm not a weirdo. I'm not Rex Ryan, but
I would say Stoneman, but he doesn't wear shoes. So
Stoneman's a flip flop / barefoot hobbit guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. I do not think that I do not think he's in the game. I don't think there's a
Tim
strong
Snow,
shoe game in this building.
Probably not. Yeah, you're right. I would build mine out of dad kicks just so I could wear them every day and bother Rob. By the way, WWE has come up with a new pay-per-view, a new PLE. It's called WrestlePalooza. Apparently it was an ECW thing, but it's going to be on September 20th. And that's my birthday. So I'm looking forward to WrestlePalooza.
My understanding of all of this is that they wanted to accelerate the jump to ESPN, but they had a quota of PLEs they had to put on Peacock. And so in order to hit that quota to jump over by the ratings period, they just made a new one, which fine. Like, I'm not against it.
All right. Speaking of which, you now can watch Raw on Netflix, NXT on CW, Evolve on Tubi, SmackDown on USA, Saturday night's main event exclusively on Peacock now, PLEs on ESPN, and AAA on YouTube. You should watch AAA. I mean, it's very entertaining.
I'm jumping on to AAA. It's been, you know what's awesome about AAA? It is that blend.
Dom is the hero he deserves to be.
Aside from that, we got Finn Balor showing up with the puppet demon Finn Balor, Demonito. Like, they do a fantastic job of phenomenal wrestling, great storytelling, and just enough absolute absurdity that you go, what am I watching? If you'd have told me on Raw that the demon Finn Balor, the prince, was going to come out with a demon Finn Balor puppet, I'd have gone, that's dumb as hell, and I hate it. But on that show, against another guy who wrestles with an iguana puppet, it was the best thing that's ever happened.
It was before that. Santino Marella went against Mr. Iguana, and that was pretty good. And I didn't think they could top it. But the demon puppet was interesting.
Which, by the way, you can now buy on WWE Shop for $100.
I've noticed. I didn't look at the price. I was interested until you just told me that.
$199 plus shipping and packaging.
I'll buy an anime statue for that much. Why not a puppet? I mean, I don't know.
It's just listen. I am
because that's one thing that our stream is missing is puppets.
I still believe that Finn Balor is one of the most talented people on that roster and in that company entirely, and is absolutely being wasted at his spot. That moment was incredible.
All right, NXT Heatwave this Sunday is not counter programming for anything. It just happens to be this Sunday at 7:00, the same time something else is happening in another company. Let's go through these matches really quick. Ethan Page and Chelsea Green versus Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele. I love that Chelsea Green has went down to NXT, but she's on both shows. I mean, she's on SmackDown and on NXT. Her pairing with Ethan Page. Canada is the perfect villain since with the Cold War over and everything. Canada it comes and goes in wrestling. Canada is the perfect villain in wrestling.
Number one,
Canada and Canadians, and as Rob would say, America's hat.
Number one, I cannot figure out how anybody dislikes Canada. Number two, Chelsea Green is my champion. I am a patriot and will be forever.
Okay. All right. You can let it go now.
Give Chelsea Green all the belts.
Well, you act like there was more to it.
No, that was it.
Okay, so who's winning that? Ethan Page and Chelsea Green versus Tavion Heights and genuine Olympic medal winner Tyra May Steele, who should not have won LFG last year.
I am always going to pick. I don't care if it's plus 20,000. Chelsea Green wins everything.
Yeah, Ethan Page and Chelsea Green, they should win. All right, Jordan Grace versus Blake Monroe. This thing has been building for a quick minute. And Jordan Grace just keeps getting beat down. And I don't like it because, she came over to the WWE and NXT, and you thought, at least I thought, she'd get moved up to the main roster fairly quick, and she has not. Whereas Julia and Stephanie Vaquer came in after her, and they're both up on the main roster. It's you got to wonder what's she missing? Is it her height? It can't be because Alexa Bliss exists. I don't know what it is.
Alexa Bliss, Cora Jade's Roxanne Perez is like 3 feet tall.
I know, but the 5 feet of fury was the first thing I thought of.
Somebody on Reddit started calling her "Acknowledge Our Tiny Chief," and I'm all in on that. Big fan of that. I think the same thing happens. Blake Monroe, who is, I think one of the problems she's bumped into is that, like it or not, unfair or not, I think the crowd was all there for, this lady's ridiculously strong and can throw people around. But names like Stephanie Vaquer, like the crowd just attached. And it may be purely for superficial reasons. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And they're just not connecting with Jordan Grace, I think, the way that they wanted them to. On the flip side, Blake Monroe comes over. She's the most recent of the "Hey AEW, we got your big dogs over here now" names. Blake Monroe wins that fight.
That was uncomfortable what you just did. All right, NXT Tag Team Championships, Hank and Tank versus 2 members of Dark State. I think the main question on this is, will someone say his name? Because they said his name Tuesday and he appeared. And will Joe Hendry factor into this? You keep the belt on Hank and Tank, don't you?
I would like to think so. I also think that as much as I like them and as fun as they are, you're dangerously close to them entering boring champs territory. And they're better as the underdogs that are chasing. So I think they'll go back to that.
Yeah, Dark State's not that good, though.
I'm not saying that they are. I'm saying in order to have a great face, you've just got to have a heel. And I think you'll end up in that spot.
All right, three more matches really quick. NXT Women's Championship #1 contenders match. Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan versus Lola Vice. I think you got to go with Miss Parker here.
I'm gonna go with Lola Vice. I think Lola Vice, #1, has connected in a weird way, and it may be because of, again, superficial reasons. It doesn't matter. B, I have started to see her pop up more and more regularly on a lot of WWE social feeds, which usually means that something's about to happen. I hate when my shoot and kayfabe rationale meet, but here they are.
All right, TNA Knockouts World Championship match between JC Jane, Masha Slamovich, and Ash by Elegance. It's probably going to be, I think JC Jane, it's about time to give that belt back to where it belongs, the company it belongs to. But I'm not going to go with Masha. I'm going to go with Ash by Elegance winning.
I think you are right in the rationale, wrong with the pick. I'm also going to say Slamovich has got to be the best name in professional wrestling history.
She's not a good referee, though. I don't know I don't know why that is. All right.
Because it's not Refovich.
Okay, that's true. And finally, NXT Championship match between Obafemi and Javon Evans. And the thing is, how's he still alive? I don't know if you saw what Trick Williams did to him. It was pretty messed up.
It was
threw him off the ring, through the table. It was a pretty good distance.
Can we keep it a buck? He threw him over the table, and he was lucky he kind of caught it on the way by. My man was a foot from getting split in half by the barricade.
But when you say you're bouncy, you need to be bouncy.
You got to be bouncy.
Yeah, and apparently he is. I don't know why Obafemi is not on the main roster yet. But I don't think he loses Javon Evans unless Trick Williams comes out and costs him the match or something.
That's it. It's unless there's some dirty pool involved. But I agree. All right, there's Fight Club, which we have never one time forgotten in the history of this radio program. 844-326-3663. When we come back, got a couple of non-football stories, a couple of football stories, a couple of stories to get to, and we shall on the run-up. He is the great Malonzo. I'm Robbie Radioovich. It's not as fun. The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Robbie Talkovich?
Well, then you're close to being Radovich, and you know that name's already taken in the area. Humpy Wheeler has passed away.
Humpy?
You don't know
Wheeler.
Charlotte Motor Speedway president.
I do not know Humpy Wheeler.
Yeah, he's a big name in this area.
Okay. We'll need to educate myself.
That's very true.
I'm hurt, but accurately hurt.
I don't think you're hurt.
I'm not. That's really funny. I would totally use that.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Connect with a local divorce attorney today.
No!
So why does I think you miss one every once in a while? Why is Micah Parsons' story bigger than Terry McLaurin?
Because Micah Parsons is one of the best two players in his position in the NFL, and Terry McLaurin's about the 14th best wide receiver.
I don't know if he's 14. He's from wide receiver U. I think he should be getting more attention.
I'm sure you do. I think Terry McLaurin is an enormous story, not because he's a great receiver, but because of the chemistry he developed with last year's Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels. And the fact that they don't have any other wide receivers. But the other angle is because it's the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm out of order. Didn't pace myself correctly. Did you see the Blenders commercial?
I did not.
Yeah, it's got a bunch. I just saw Coach Prime up on the screen, and it's a bunch of different stars on the Blenders commercial, and he just pops up, and that made me think of you because you have some of those.
Son of a bitch. That's what I call the my least favorite person in the NFL. Bill Vinovich. Bill son of a bitch. And I can say that because it's not saying a bad word.
You're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters.
AEW Forbidden Door at 1 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. So it's not going head to head.
No.
Okay.
It's in London, England. I decided that I'm going to put 2 more TVs on the wall. I went to Wally World last night because I had to get some emergency groceries. They're selling the Hisense TVs that I like. You can get like a 42-inch TV for like $90.
There you go.
So I might go get 2 of them, and then I'm going to put them on wall extenders so that when I have my computer here, I can have the 2 that come out and angle towards me like a battle station.
Like the Batcave.
I'm getting painfully obsessed. All right, let's jump on a couple of stories as we round out the show, the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one. Alonzo, 844-326-3663 is the number to be a part of the show, you see. I didn't need that. Tiger Woods, a group led by Tiger Woods, is looking to work closely with the PGA Tour in order to radically renovate the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods eyeing significant change to the tour. I don't know what that means. What I do know is Eldrick put out a tweet that said, quote, honored to serve as the chairman of the Future Competition Committee. This is about shaping the next era of the PGA Tour for our fans, players, and partners. End quote. I don't know what's next. What I do know is Cool. Good. Awesome. Let's do it. I will trust Eldrick Tiger Woods. The PGA Tour CEO, Brian Rolop, has said, quote, the goal is not incremental change. The goal is significant change, end quote. He went on to say the partnership with the new committee is, quote, to design the best professional golf competitive model in the world for the benefit of PGA Tour fans, players, and their partners. It is aimed at a holistic relook of how we compete on the tour. I'm for it. Look, I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means changing the format of tournaments. I don't know if it means changing the format of the season. I don't know if that means changing the format of the postseason. I don't know what it means. What I do know is I really like professional golf. I'd really like it to go back to it the way it was when Tiger was in his prime, which is I can justify doing a couple of golf segments a week as opposed to like a half of one golf segment per week. And if somebody's going to pull the trigger on making that happen, I'm good with it being Tiger Woods. We'll see how that plays out. I'm genuinely interested in where that goes, if anywhere, moving forward. Let's see what else. Paige Beckers is very good at basketball. I think I brought that up earlier in the show. If I didn't, let me do that now. Paige Beckers, 44 points for the Dallas Wings last night. They did lose the game 80-81 because Kelsey Plum has ice in the veins, knocked down the buzzer beater to steal the dub. But the highlight was Paige Beckers. Paige Beckers, 44 points. She won 17 of 21, 81% from the floor. She is the first WNBA player ever to knock down 40-plus points and 80-plus% from the floor in the history of the league. Paige Beckers might be better than Caitlin Clark. Honestly, she might be. We'll see. We got to get Caitlin Clark back. Apparently she did, it was announced yesterday, have a bit of a setback in her rehabilitation. She suffered a deep bone bruise about a week and some change ago. That kind of set back the rehab, the recovery for her to get back onto the floor for the Indiana Fever. We also learned that Sophie Cunningham, her enforcer, done for the year with a knee injury. And that's a gigantic bummer because I do think with Sophie Cunningham out, it really is going to limit the amount of protection that Caitlin Clark has out there on the floor when she's getting after it. So that's going to be a big problem. Indiana Fever championship bettors probably going to be a little bit bummed out. I know that I am. That's a setback, man. Like, I don't know what other way to put it. That is a setback. We talked about this one earlier in the show. The kind of final thought about this. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee announced yesterday, Heather Dinich put it up on an article on ESPN's website, if you are interested in reading more about it, that said that this year they are going to be using computer-driven enhanced metrics in their selection process. Effectively, they are coming up with a computer program. And I said earlier, I don't have an issue with this. It will not be a vote. It will simply be an asset where numbers are shared with the voters for the voters to then do the voting. But what it will do is it will take into consideration not strength of schedule, but quality of wins and losses throughout the course of the season. Quality of wins and losses. That is to say, if you win a tough game against a very good opponent, you will be given extra credit for the win. If you lose a game against a quality opponent, it will not be as much of a punishment against you on the flip side. If you win a game against a bad opponent, you will not get as much bonus credit as you do. If you lose a game against a bad opponent, you will be penalized more for that loss than you would a loss against a good opponent. I don't have an issue because I've already seen a number of people. Lonzo brought this to light when we talked about it a couple of hours ago. There are already people making the BCS comparison, which is a fair comparison to make. I will say two things. Number one, whereas the BCS was a computer model that was hard to understand, that also did the selecting. It said, this is who is playing for the national championship. That is not the case here. This is a model which will, as far as I understand it, and we will have to learn more about it, is going to simply analyze data and then provide that information to the selection committee. The reason I don't have an issue with it, is because of the fact that the selection committee is bigger, A, has the power, B, and the playoff field is larger. It is easier to get mad at the BCS when it leaves out number 3. I cited what I thought was the beginning and the end of the BCS. That was 2001. The Oregon Ducks were considered by the AP and coaches poll to be the number 2 team in the country. The BCS put them at 4. They waxed the floor with number 3 Colorado, whereas number 2 Nebraska got hammered by number 1 Miami. That was a moment where everybody said, whoa, 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 whoa. Does the computer really know better than the people? In this case, you still have people selecting A and B. I won't complain as much about team number 13 being left out as I will team number 3.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Your point made my day. Not what he said on the radio, but it was an actual point. All right, the first thing that's Xing today is Sky Moore.
Sky Moore Xing because the Kansas City Chiefs traded Sky Moore away from the team yesterday, despite being a member of, 2 Super Bowls, I believe. Sky Moore no longer, which, look, keep it a buck, makes sense. Sky Moore was a dude that he's kind of like how we said Darius Hayward-Bay earlier. Fantastic distraction. Problem was too many drops and too many clutch spots. They decided to move on, change the scenery, got a little bit back for him. Well, I don't think it's a huge factor.
And they have a pretty big receiver room right now with people coming back from injury and everything this year. And so they traded him to the 49ers. Who, and with what you saw, 49ers are losing a lot of receivers due to injuries. So.
The 49ers also, yes, they are. That is absolutely correct. The 49ers also are trying to find somebody, as I said that they would, to replace Deebo Samuel. And I think it's Sky Moore. The 49ers are going to be punched in the gut this year.
All right. The next thing it's Xing is Lego Batman.
I got nothing. Are we doing Lego Batman 2? Because I got to tell you, I'm all in for Lego Batman.
Lego
2.
Batman, the game is out, and it's not out yet, but Gamescom's going on right now, and it is Arkham in Lego form.
Nice.
And every part about it, combat, being able to drive the Batmobiles. Also, in the trailer, which you need to watch when you get a chance, they have picked moments from all the Batman movies that are in it, including Heath Ledger. If you want to get nuts, from Michael Keaton, just so all the different Batman movies, there's scenes from it in this game, and it's open world, and it looks really cool, and it's getting a lot of buzz right now.
Let's keep it a buck. The Lego movie or the Lego games have largely been awesome.
They have
been awesome. Real quick, I do want to read this because this is a good thought. Joy B said, so they'll use the computer to justify their picks when it suits them and ignore it whenever it was a team better than a marquee team they want in the playoff. My one big fear is that the computer does become an easy excuse to manipulate the rankings the way they want. Yeah, and that is something we will have to
not a fear. It will happen. All right. The next thing is Xing is Deshaun Watson.
I don't know or care.
He is accelerating his he's trying really hard to get back in shape, to get back on the field. So what happens when he's healthy?
Nothing. He gets traded for a bag of potato chips.
Yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting. It is Cleveland. He might end up starting before the season's over. All right. The next thing it's Xing is Florence Pugh.
I have no idea why the star of Marvel's Thunderbolts, a.k.a. the new Avengers, is trending.
All right. It was everywhere yesterday, and trying to find confirmation. And IMDb also tweeted this out. So it might be real. It may not be real. I don't know, that she is joining the cast for Spider-Man Brand New Day. She's already in New York. She's a street level, to a degree, fighter. She has no super powers or anything. I don't know. So
I mean, she's
people right away are thinking that she's going to be a big sister to Peter Parker. I don't know.
I can see it because you gotta kind of give him a.
I love Yelena Belova. Wherever she shows up, I'm probably going to like it.
Oh, 100%. She's been amazing in literally every aspect of this role so far. I think you've got to have kind of a sounding board, especially for the concept of this movie, for a struggling Peter Parker. And based on how, because that's the role she played for the Sentry in Thunderbolts, I think she's a good pick for it.
And finally, the last thing that's trending in Xing and all that stuff people are talking about is Tony Khan.
Tony Khan Xing because AEW has a pay-per-view this weekend.
Because the ESPN, the AEW tab has been removed from ESPN.
Has it now?
Yes.
I mean, why wouldn't it be? Like, obviously it was. It is now just WWE. I'm actually looking at it right now. All right, that's it for us. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, that's your problem. Come back tomorrow.
Yeah,
we'll try harder.
What are you doing?
To do better as we do it all over again. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later!
I was talking to them, not to you. You immediately jumped back like I was talking to you. I wasn't talking to you.
No, I pushed the button and I just love the go horn.
That's not what I meant. I meant what's okay.
All right, dudes and dudettes, that's it for me. My dog is home and not in her crate alone, and she will pee on everything, so I have to go. Oh, man. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, sorry. If you did, tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous and retired. That's all. Literally nothing else.
I'm shaking my head because I'm not sorry. So,
Bye.